G'day, guys, and welcome to another Monday here on the Centre Bounds for another Monday night live stream. How you doing, Big J?
Mate, I'm good. There's been a few football games. I love, footy's back. Oh, mate, KO got a workout today, I tell you what. It was an interesting one. Some people are saying that potentially Melbourne played, and I haven't seen any footage of it, so I'm a bit unsure about that one. But the games that were on KO managed to catch. There were some good teams. There were some bad teams. Only thing with practice games, which does my head in, is they normally come into them with like 30-odd players, which kind of dissolves a little bit of, hey, this is what the team's going to look like and whatnot. And then they, like halfway through, they'll swap out players. It's like, cool. As Corey says, the Richmond game was boring. The Richmond game was boring, Corey. Tell you what, I think at quarter time, there was like 10 points scored between both teams. And you can really see kind of the level of competitiveness. I said this to Rodney at work. I said, hey, you can check out the level of competitiveness versus those guys. And then the Hawthorn Geelong game, that just went bang, 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 bang. So, yeah, bit of an exciting one.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit to cover today, obviously, with those practice games. And as you guys would obviously know, the Scodfather will be joining us today. You can only join us for only about half an hour or so he won't be around for the whole stream. As you can imagine, he's a very busy man, and he's graciously going to be giving us some of his time today. So a massive thanks to Abs and the Scodfather for coming along, and a massive thanks to all you guys for staying tuned and for coming in. Velo, always right off the bat, super quick and easy. Good evening to you. Would start Reedy if named starting Ruck as flex if Shrek is out for 3+ weeks. Would it be a good idea?
I would definitely start him at flex instead of R2, like a few people have potentially got him at R2 at the moment. Watching the
R2,
it's a tricky one. The Indigenous game it's a hard thing to gauge, but from what I saw in the Indigenous game, he was getting beaten by Livingston, and that in itself is never a good sign. He scored like 50 Supercoach and played the full game and got beat by someone that hasn't played a senior game at AFL. So hopefully that doesn't mean what I think it means, but I'm definitely watching the next 2 or the next 1.5 preseason games from him to see what's up.
Yeah, when you're having that much trouble now, all preseason long though, our good friend Damo from the Footy Mailbag, he was always very confident that if Sean Darcy was not to get up for any reason, it would be Reedy who will be the number 1 ruck at that point, because they really seem adamant at Fremantle that they don't want to be playing Jackson at R1. Yes, he will pinch hit, but they certainly like what he provides them on ground level. So, look, I don't know, man. It's weird. I don't know why they are so adamant on not playing Jackson in the ruck. I think he's certainly going to be better than Reedy, who really struggled in that game. I think he had 18 centre bounces for 1 hit out to advantage. Something ridiculous like that. So, I don't know. Reedy is a tough one. If you have him at flex and then he doesn't play, or he just scores really badly, then you could end up having him almost not count as a flex score. But at the same time, he's a number 1 ruck. How bad do number 1 rucks do? Normally, they're pretty reliable. Normally, they can score you. They should be able to score you 70+, no worries, if they're number 1 ruck. And Fremantle's run to start the season is actually not too bad when it comes to the ruck contests. So it just depends on how long Sean Darcy is out for. If Sean Darcy is only out for the first 2 rounds of the season, he's not going to make you enough money. He's not going to score enough points to make you enough money in 2 games, because you need to play at least 3 in order to have the price rise. So unless we hear otherwise, it all depends on how long Shrek is out for. But I don't know how we can possibly know that at this stage.
I think as well, you would really hope that once Shrek is back, there is a spot for him in the team. And I just don't know if I can really see that happening, to be honest.
Will be one to look at. Logan, how are you? D2 and D3 is an issue. All the good ones have this early buy. Cicely Holmes, Cicely again. What's the max we can start with, as we will also have Mills and Smith? Worth taking on the buy for these guns?
Well, that's the big question, and that's one of the big things with this year, right? Is it worth taking on the buy? Is it not worth taking on the buy? I would say lock in the best players you can and not worry about it too much. Sicily definitely showed us today, hey, he might end up spending a bit more time back, even with Barras and Battle and a few of these other guys still in the team. So there's one you might want. In saying that, he didn't take many kickouts from what I saw during the game. It was a lot of Jai Sarong. So that's definitely something to take into account. We don't know what happened with the likes of Bailey Dale too. So I would probably look at Logan making your team, just the team you want for getting the buys, and then saying, hey, if I've got like $1 million plus, let's round it off that $1 million plus in each buy round, that, you know, is the probably the time where you have to start thinking about, is this too many? Because you really don't want a $9 million team versus a $10 million team, even with best 18. But anything before that, it's fair game, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
in primos, forget rookies. In primos.
Yeah, correct. Forget about the rookies. As long as the rookies are fine to have, because, and that's part of the reason why, you know, when all the teams that have been made and, you know, that were provided to us in the rate my team video, we were saying don't worry about starting a loop, because our rookies are going to be the loops anyway when you start these rookies, because some of these rookies you need to have, like the Elijah Sardis, for example. Like, you're going to need to have Elijah Sardis in your team with the way he's playing so much on ball. Then that automatically counts as a loop in that potential buy round. And so you're going to have, so having these rookies is not a problem. You should absolutely not miss out on the good rookies just because they have the buy round. It's really important that the difference between, you know, because all the rookies are going to make you money at to various amounts. But the problem with missing the best rookies means that you're going to be missing out on the explosive cash generation plus scores on field that others will have. Now, D2, D3, you should be able to wear one of them. Like, if you really think Whitfield is going to be a top G, scoring 115 every week, yeah, okay. As long as you have cover on the bench to not have that donut, then I think you'll be okay. Because we think they're going to be top of their line, and that will more than make up for the points that were, I guess, the difference. Because as long as you're not copying a donut and there's another premium on the field someone else has, the only difference that you have between picking Whitfield and someone else is just the difference between your rookie and their primo. So, and that makes especially the case if, say, you had Zach Reed on your bench at the time that you've got, for example, Holmes' buy, then, and Zach Reed, for example, say he scores a 70, and then another premium that in that buy, say Bailey Dale scores a 90. That means you've only given up 20 points in starting and having Sicily that week. And we think someone like Whitfield can more than easily make up those 20 points over the span of the season. So I don't think it's a real issue for you to start some of these early buy players.
Yeah, especially like James is saying here, Will Day lock, just calm her down. After today's performance, I'd have to say pretty much the same, James. We always talk about starting the risk and not bringing the risk in, and I think that's definitely with a Will Day. His body, you know, has broken down at periods of time, so don't bring him in round 8 and expect him to survive the entire season. But we saw with English a couple of years ago where people, you know, had him in their teams. It's it's a fun ride, and I think Will Day is definitely a lock at the moment. Forgetting even just the early buy, like, he just looks so good.
Yeah, we can say he's a lock. I think it's always important to temper your expectations, because preseason games, pracky games, they tend to be a lot more uncontested in nature, and players that thrive on the outside running type players tend to outperform what they're normally going to do during the regular season. So, yes, Will Day is an excellent player. He's tough over the football as well, courageous, all those wonderful things. But he is definitely more of an outside player compared to Newcomb, who's more that in and under contested when the game's on the line. Everyone's going 100% trying to win the football. It's always the outside players that perform really well in the preseason. And I sort of was sucked in a little bit. So don't make the mistake that I made last year. Part of the reason why I also had a slow start last year when I made my team is I made sure that I wanted to pick all of these players who performed really well in the preseason. And they all looked really great and they had great roles. And it just felt like, oh, yeah, they're going to hit the ground running. But when the actual season started and it was a lot more contested, everyone was going 100%. It wasn't that freedom. People were actually trying to run down and stick tackles. Those outside players that looked really good in the preseason suddenly were not looking so good and were turning the ball over. We're starting to have a lot more clangers and they started to get a lot less of the pill. So because they weren't sharing the ball along, they were playing a lot more direct football. So it's one to keep an eye on. It's possible to overcorrect and to be overreactive in the preseason. So that's thankfully Will Day has round 0. That's a benefit for us, I think.
Definitely. I think kind of touching on that a little bit further, you use the preseason games to cement your suggestions of players you want to bring in or out, not like change your mind on a lot of stuff. So yes, some rookies will kind of get announced and whatnot. And cool, we want this guy. Like I think Connor O'Sullivan is definitely one that a lot of us should be considering in our backlines. If he ends up being best 22, we'll wait and see. Someone like that is hey, you've changed my mind on it, but don't be like Cam Guthrie comes out and scores, dominates in a preseason match where half the players play a full game and then he plays a full game and then, has now changed our ideas on things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just looking here at because we're talking about the Hawks there, talking about Day, according to this game, thanks to AFL rating stats on Twitter, there are no official stats for this game, obviously, because it was just a privately organized game. It wasn't an AFL sanctioned game. The Warpedo and Newcomb both were the highest attending for the CBAs when it comes to the midfielders. Nash was way down at 35. McKenzie had a nice little day out. Loved his game. This kid's a real player, man. It's Sam Mitchell Jr. McKenzie. So impressive. Will Day at 29 had some stints where he was resting forward, which was also pretty interesting to see. Yet again, classic midfielder. Can't seem to hit the scoreboard to save his life. Only converted 1 out of the 3 opportunities that he had. But that's just classic midfielders. They just don't know how to score goals, man. I don't know what's wrong with midfielders. They kick the ball so well. But when they're in front of the big sticks, all of a sudden they can't seem to hit that last shot.
Yeah, I think Will Day's case, it seems to be a little bit of the LDUs where, we want him to stay on field for the entire time. Cool. If he can't do that in the midfield, then we'll move him through there. It could also just be a load management thing as well. Will Day has come back fit and firing, but you don't want him to bust his guts in the preseason and then get injured by something stupid. So, Geelong are a fairly tough tackling team, and that could be potentially why. G Bags, thank you very much for the $10, mate. Hey, fellas, with Newcomb's performance today, is he a good alternative to LDU, Dawson, or Green in our midfield? Also considering Will Day as a potential alternative to Oliver. I don't know about you, Joe, but maybe I'll start it off. I think, not so sure about Newcomb, but I think we're going to see a lot of people running Will Day at an M3/M4 at the moment. Just for the amount of good players we've got in the defense and the forward line that are available, I can really see a lot of people going, 4 primos, maybe not even a Peatling, and then just running 4 mid rookies. I'm considering going Will Day and Oliver in my team and just running both. If they're both fit, they're both underpriced for what you get. It could be kind of what happens, I think.
Yeah, Newcomb, he is the annoying thing is with this game is I must be honest, I could not watch it in tremendous detail because it was during work hours and it was such an annoying time that they got it on. I would only manage to sneak in a little view here and there. Unfortunately, they played the Richmond West Coast game first during my lunch break between 1 and 2. Why would you play the Richmond West Coast one first? Like, you should have done it other way around, given us time during our lunch break to watch the Hawks and the Cats, which was a lot more exciting. But I have managed to maybe sneak a bit of a watch after the fact, and it was very impressive. I thought Will Day certainly was the standout in the midfield for the Hawks, but Newcomb just did some things that were really impressive from a footballing perspective, like that beautifully weighted handball over the top in the middle of the ground to Moore, kicking the ball inside forward 50. You're really considering him to break out. Now, he's had some years back-to-back where he has actually been improving on his average, and that's normal when it comes to natural progression. It's normal for someone like Newcomb to continue to get into it. Now he's played, is this his 5th year in the system now, if I recall off the top of my head? Try Newcomb. So could be ready to explode. Newcomb. He could be ready to explode.
Yeah. I think maybe his 3rd or 4th because he was mid-season draftee halfway through. So
right.
Yeah.
I like it better than LDU for me. Just doesn't have to. There you go. It's his 5th year. So the thing with LDU, I feel like he never gets out of second gear. He's always just cruising, and because just cruising is enough a lot of the times for LDU because he's such a natural footballer. With Dawson, you never really know what sort of role he's going to play exactly. He's the captain. He'll do the selfless thing. He might get. Now, I don't think he'll be moved onto a wing because of the changes that they've made to their side. But he could go to half back. He could go to half forward, depending on what's required. And with Green, I'm pretty sure Green's actually managing a bit of an injury over the preseason, and that's why he's sort of had managed minutes and hasn't been in the latest intra-club. Now, they have said that it's nothing serious, but I'm not a big fan of starting players who are coming in under injury clouds at the start of the season. So I can definitely see John Newcomb as a potential option, especially if it rains a lot to start the season and it's wet weather football, less outside, more contested in nature. John Newcomb's strengths will certainly come to the fore. And the way he ended the season last year was just quite simply remarkable. When was their bye? Round 15. So after round 15, his post-bye run last year, including finals,
pretty good,
where games are hottest, averaged 112. So there's certainly upside to this guy. And if you want to roll with him as a point of difference because you think he'll just take that next step, potentially maybe more CBAs, if not around about the same, I can see why you'd pick him.
Yeah, I think for myself, personally, Newcomb's never really been there in the calculations, just maybe because I wanted 3 guys over 600K that I knew were going to be locks and then an Oliver, and then some cheaper players. But, if you don't want to spend up on Zach Butters or you think the likes of Sarong and whatnot end up being a bit more expensive, then sure, chuck him in there, see what happens, really.
I mean, Will Day is a little bit cheaper, and you'd think that the everything turned when Will Day came back into the side. So you can see, he had a pretty shaky start to the season, and he was a little bit inconsistent. It's a one to watch. The good thing is we get another pracky game, but we also get round 0 as well. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. Michael, good to see ya. Can't come down. We can't come down either, mate. We can't come down either. And then Michael Caulfield comes in. All the hens and drakes watching, absolutely. Rookie coach is in. Yes, just come down. Good to see ya. We'll leave this question for him when he comes in. Not too much damage in the practice matches so far. Just 1 each from the Tigers and the Dogs. In terms of the injuries.
It's an interesting one. The footy gods, man, they're teasing these North Melbourne fans. They're like, how many Dogs players can we get injured before round 1? Waitman's now gone down for 3 months, and that's alongside a few other players, potentially even an Aaron. Is it Aaron Norton that might get suspended? But we'll see kind of what happens. It's an interesting one. I'm glad that there's not many more injuries because we've had so many during the preseason already. Few clubs getting smashed. So yeah, very, very happy there. And if you're talking about Lawler's probably only going to be out for the preseason game next week, and then that's it. He should be ready for round 1, barring any major injuries. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just he's just entered into concussion protocols. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything necessarily serious about what his injury was. He copped a push towards the end of the game, and fortunately made contact with. Can't be exactly certain what it was, but it was. He's entered into concussion protocol, so he should be fine. I mean, it's not too dissimilar to Lynch. Lynch entered into concussion protocols a couple of weeks ago because of an incident in training, and he didn't participate today. But you'd imagine that he's probably going to participate in the official hit out. So I'm not too concerned about that there.
It definitely did feel like the Richmond had a few senior players out, because I didn't even notice the likes of Jaden Short either. I was looking out, I'm like, where's Jaden Short? Baker was there. Where was Jaden Short, the guy that half the competition is looking to bring him into their teams? Not a great sign.
Baker was there because he plays for West Coast now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Baker was there, but none of the Richmond soon-to-be primos that people were looking to put into their teams.
Yeah, they really went super young. The Tigers. They put basically no experience on the park. It was essentially just rolling out all of the kids and just giving them all of the experience as quickly as possible. I think McIntosh might have been the oldest person there on the ground as well for that game. So yeah, they really went in with a learning mentality, I don't think. Trav, good to see you, Trav. Thank you for your generosity, mate. Thoughts on Simpkin, or was it due to AS game? What's AS supposed to stand for?
Look, we saw at periods of time last year where Simpkin went bang as a majority midfielder, right? There's a reason why he was in my team at halfway through the season. He was cheap, but also playing majority mid. I think it's too much of an overreaction if you think about putting him into your Supercoach teams. And he's a weird spot, and I don't even think he is forward eligible either. So it's a tough one. It's a no from me. Yeah.
Thanks, Captain Flash. Jesus.
It's a no from me. You can do it if you want, but I think for the price, let me just quickly check. For the price, I'm pretty sure Oliver, Will Day, a bunch of others are around the same mark as well. So,
fair.
Yeah, 429K. Oh, he does have DPP. Okay, so I'll take that. He does still have DPP. I don't think that he will be getting close to the mid rotations that he got in the All-Stars game, and I think it's just All-Stars. In saying that, he's fit, but I would not be an advocate of, hey, pick Jai Simpkin.
Yeah, I mean, you've also now bolstered your midfield with having added Parker in there as well. So it's not like it's the same midfield that it was before. It's now gotten stronger with Parker. Obviously, Wardlaw's still going to come back. So you might just think, Wardlaw out, Parker in. So, but Simpkin, he's pretty good at that half forward role. So just, and that's part of the thing where we talk about being overreactive and, watching the preseason and seeing how dominant certain players are in the preseason, and then just thinking, wow, I need to get this guy in, lock him in. It's very different when you're playing for fun almost, where there's no pressure, there's no stakes. You're just going out there to, sort of get a run. It can be very easy to perform really well, especially for the outside type players. So Simpkin, I wouldn't be seduced into making that selection personally. You still have to pick the best of the best. And you got players like Sarong and Brayshaw in the game, in that All-Star game. They both finished basically around 100 Supercoach to end the game. But they were taking the mickey. What's his face? Caleb Sarong parked himself at full forward for the game. You know what I mean? Like, he told Luke Jackson, get out of here. You got up the ground. I'll sit here in the forward pocket and be full forward. Like, Caleb Sarong is not going to be playing full forward during the game. Does that mean now, because he didn't score 120 plus, that we don't pick Caleb Sarong? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could probably be a little bit more one-sided if Caleb Sarong and Brayshaw and Luke Jackson probably weren't playing. But in terms of talent on both teams, it was heavily one-sided, especially with Luke Ryan being out and a couple of others at late notice. So, yeah, I liken it a little bit to AFL X. You wouldn't be picking AFL X players based on their performance, I think.
No, you wouldn't. And part of, I guess, the good thing that you like to see with this, that it gives you the quarterly breakdown as well. So you get to see, normally you want the best rotation will be the ones that start the game, and then towards the end you start to implement the others. So how did Geelong start the game? So this was fourth quarter for Hawthorn, third. Geez, where's the first quarter? Is this it? Never?
Yeah, I don't know if they've done a quarter by quarter.
Well, I can see Geelong quarter 3, Geelong quarter 4, Hawthorn quarter 4, Hawthorn quarter 3. Interesting. But just looking at the CBAs, Mitch Nevitt, guys, if you haven't got Mitch Nevitt in your starting team, here we are. This is the start of the first quarter. First quarter, DeConning was the ruck, Nevitt, Holmes, Bowes, Smith had 40%, and Tanner Bruin had 40%. How good is that? How good is Mitch Nevitt and 100% CBAs in the first quarter, ladies and gentlemen? For that price, you love to see it, guys. You love to see it. Don't look at the score. Look at the role. Look at where they're playing. That's what you want.
Oh, especially from a guy that you're probably not looking to have on field either. Now, if Mitch Nevitt was 250, 300K, then definitely his scoring and possession numbers would come into a factor. But being a tiny bit more expensive than just your general rookie, there's not much bad about him.
And the good thing about him is that he's got an endurance base. And that's part of the reason why I like, when you've got these endurance type players, they are less likely to be the sub or to be subbed out because of their ability to continue to give out consistent output throughout the whole game. It's not like a burst player that you're going to have in there, start as a sub, maybe bring him in fourth quarter to inject some speed on the game. That's not what he is. He is a worker. He's a workhorse, continues to plod along. And you can see, even in the last quarter, he was still getting about 78% of the CBA, 70%. He was 70 plus, essentially, almost. He was the number 1 or number 2 every single time. So you love to see it. It's really exciting. We've got another rookie, unfortunately, in the midfield that we have to pay up for.
Yep.
No cheapies. We need the cheap rookies. There are no cheap rookies.
Yeah, I guess kind of, if you can have a similar trajectory to Dempsey, then I think we're on to a winner. Another Geelong rookie being O'Sullivan, I mentioned before in that backline. If he can lock down the third tall interceptor at 148K, like it's pretty good. Even with the likes of Caleb Smith and stuff, who I know we say don't check out stats too much, but was a little bit underwhelming. It's nice to have these guys that can jump and take intercept marks and stuff. I didn't realize, Joe, that Mitch Nevitt was like 193 centimeters.
Yeah, he's big.
He's a tall boy. He started running past Dempsey. I'm like, who's this giant? What is this?
Yeah, he's a big boy. He is a big boy, Nevitt. So it was a bit of a surprise when I first saw him. I didn't realize that either until I saw him. I'm like, oh my God, he's a tall lad. Oh, we've got a new member. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Supercoach. God, thanks so much for joining, mate. Oh,
yeah. And guys, if you haven't already, memberships are open. We're going to do some member exclusive stuff throughout the season, and we've been slacking a little bit, but the community team is definitely up and running, and we'll get everybody's input for that as well. We also have our league code here, 297914. If you guys are interested in jumping on our league, it's the same thing we did yesterday. 3 prizes you guys can win. A jersey for coming first in the league. It's an open league, right? So jersey for coming first. Highest score from out the season, you get 2 tickets to an AFL game. And then booby prize, for everybody who didn't win the first 2 AFL vouchers there as well there. And it's all free. You don't have to spend any money to sign up. So jump on there if you guys have got a spare league space available.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We get to Causa. Do we reckon Will Day is legit? Might try and get him M4 and Oliver M5. Apparently, he did well today. He did do very well from...
Yep.
I decided to have a watch after. Obviously, I was at work and could only briefly have a look and then watched it after work as well for a little bit. He was electric, Will Day.
Yep.
He was
definitely everywhere on the field. And as I said before, Corey, start the risk, don't bring the risk in. So if you've got a spot, Peeling himself was a tiny bit underwhelming in my eyes. And if you can find an extra 100K somewhere, 100K Peeling to Will Day is not a bad shout.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed in the first quarter that Will Day wasn't quite as dominant, but all of a sudden, second quarter came around, and he just felt, holy crap, Will Day is everywhere. And it sort of coincided with the fact that he got a bit of a bump up in the CBAs. He was at 40% in the first quarter. Second quarter, he got the big jump up to 71.4. So all of a sudden, you saw Will Day was all over the place. And so it becomes a question of, the Will Day that we want is the Will Day that's getting a lot of CBAs. Is that going to be the case? Are we going to see more of what we saw in the second quarter, or are we going to see a bit of what we saw in the first where he's not the number one man? Now, last year, he was up there when he was playing. He only had, obviously, he had the 61%, having missed the first part of the thing, but on average, when he played, he had 61%. Now, that's not too dissimilar to the 71% that he had in quarter two when he was completely dominant. So if we can get more of that, then that would be absolutely incredible. Oh, speaking of more of that, we've got more on the membership front. Oh, Initiator. Thank you so much, mate, for joining.
Thank you very much.
Just calm down. I can't calm down because I think I might have also seen the Scodfather in the comment section. What's going on? It's all going crazy. Initiator, thank you so much. You guys are absolutely incredible. It's going to be a fire stream if it hasn't been fire already. Just hold on, guys. Here he is.
Coming on soon. Just calm down. Just watch out, everybody. Can't leave the stream yet. We'll have a normal viewing, and then we'll see what happens.
He's coming on soon, ladies and gentlemen. Not false advertising. We wouldn't have no way could we do some false advertising like that. That was a glorious thumbnail you made, Big J. Well done.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty good.
G'day, Frankie. How's it going? Good to see you.
Frankie?
Lachlan, thoughts on how dominant Holmes was?
Mate, he was pretty dominant there. I think... How do I explain this? I think Holmes did what Holmes did, and you're probably going to expect similar outputs to last year. It felt obviously he didn't play the last quarter. I think it was him and like 6 other players went out and other players came on because they played 5 quarters. I don't know how that works. 5 fifths, I guess, 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like he got the ball, did Bo's things, and then, disposal efficiency was a little bit of a problem. Always feels like with Bo's that he runs too quick and his legs can't catch up. Sorry, not Bo's, for Holmes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He runs too fast and his legs can't catch up. So it's one to watch. Feel free if you want to chuck him in. He's got that kind of half-back run wing role like he had last year. The scoring will be there, but just the efficiency is a little bit of a thing. And at the same price as a Sicily and a few other people, it's a bit of a consideration.
That's been his problem for the longest time. Like, honestly, I've mentioned this in previous videos or streams. This guy can find the pill. He's very dynamic. He works hard. He's a great link player between the back line and the midfield. But so often his kicking lets him down. Like, I don't know what it is. He is an absolute butcher by foot. Don't get me wrong. It says 68% disposal efficiency last year. That is courtesy of his handballs. His kicking efficiency is actually around 50%, if I recall correctly. He is unfortunately not the best kick, one, and two, he's also not the best at staying on the park all the time. He is unfortunately pretty commonly suffering from a hammy of some sort. I mean, you can see he only played the 9 games, 21, 18 and 22, 21, 23, and then 25, obviously, including finals in 24. And we all know what happened to him in the finals last year. Again, got injured, tried to get back out there, but couldn't continue. So it's, Big J's disappeared for a second there. So it's not really the best when it comes to Max Holmes. His kicking definitely leaves a lot to be desired.
Sorry, fellas.
And there you go. Thanks, Clyde.
I don't know what happened
62%.
there.
Thanks. Yes. Oh, there you are. 62% kicking efficiency. That is unfortunately not very good for someone that you're paying up to be an Uber premium keeper for the whole year. Plus, he has the early buy. It could be pretty similar to a Nick Martin situation where you see the guy get the pill so many times, but because he keeps fluffing it up so much, just doesn't get full value for his points. So, I mean, he had 20 disposals there against the Cats for 76. Yes, he was injured. Where are these other games where he's managed to find the pill a lot? Was it this one? I mean, 17 disposals for 82. He had 32 disposals for 134 and a goal. 32 disposals and a goal. This one also 32 disposals and a goal.
But it's 30 points less. Yeah.
For 104. You know what I mean? Like, if I told you my player went out there and had 32 disposals and a goal, you'd be thinking, whoa, this guy scored, maybe 140. But no, you only scored 104. That would have been the most frustrating 104 in the world to watch, I think.
What? Who is this Tom Mitchell?
No, this is Max Holmes.
Max Holmes, there you go.
Max Holmes is not the same as Holmes.
Thank you very much for jumping on, being a member of the channel. Mate, it's exciting this year. Thank you very much. We'll have all our members' stuff coming out in the next few days.
Yes, Yaron. XRP Army. XRP Army. Let's go, mate. We're going to take over the global financial system. We're going to be billionaires. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Rodney's saying here, Myers was one from today's match that screamed, get in my team, Joe. His kicking, I said this to Rodney, right? His kicking is so weird, but it just gets the job done, and then that's it,
It's true. It's true. He has that unorthodox, I was about to say suckling, sort of that kick, that sideways kick around the body, but he does it so beautifully because he can do it on the run, some touch passes. He was genuinely unbelievable, Brian Myers. Interesting first name, but an interesting kicking motion as well. But he was really impressive. Again, the outside type players tend to perform really well in the preseason. That's something that you got to keep in mind. The preseason, it's a lot more open. It's a lot more free. You don't have that contested. It's not as contested. Players aren't going 100% trying to lock each other down. They don't want to get injured in a preseason game. You know what I mean? So it's the closest thing to match simulation, but it's not actual proper season. And he's never done it before. So at his price, what's he priced at? What's Brian Myers cost?
441. So it's a little bit pricey for what you get.
Yeah, exactly. 441K for someone who's never done it before. And looking at the CBAs, it's not like yes, cheers, Michael. Much love, bro. Looking at the CBAs, Myers, I mean, he really didn't feature. So he's not going to be someone that is going to give you consistent scores because of a role that has him around the ball all the time. He's going to be dependent on matchup. And obviously, when it comes to efficiency as well, last year, played the 25 games, had the 20 disposals at 67% efficiency, 4 marks, 4 tackles. I can see a bit more of the same. Personally, I can see a bit more of the same. I think he is an 85 type average player. Now, at that price point, is that necessarily going to be enough for you to get him in? You can have a look. We can see him for the other practice game. He also got the early buy. The early buy is the big annoyance for him. And I'm pretty sure I know some content creators are really big on Brian Myers. For me, I need to see a bit more. I'm not willing to say get him in right now. I need to see a bit more from him personally. He's never done it before in the past, and I'm pretty sure. Does I see Swizz? Yeah, Swizz is in the chat. G'day, Swizz. How you doing, brother? Swizz calls him absolute is a must-have. Brian Myers is a must-have after the second bye. So that's in a bit of time. What? When was their second bye? AFL buys 2025. Let's pull up an image just for simplicity's sake. Here we are. So they have their first bye, obviously, in round 3, and then the second bye, round 16. So you reckon that Myers is a must-have after round 16, Swizz? If we're talking about a must-have in round 17, how much of a must-have is that? Because they play Richmond twice. Oh my god, they play Richmond twice. All right, well, you're hilarious, Swizz. That was a really bad game to watch. That Richmond West Coast game. Look, it was always going to be an issue. It was always going to be an issue against the. You had no one. You had no senior leadership out on the field. Of course, you're going to have a tough time. But I'm not picking. I'm not. That's a future me problem, bro. That's a future me problem. Way into the pool. We're talking round 17 after their next bye. Like, come on.
Sorry, fellas.
Lumineer. G'day, Lumineer. How's it going? Charles in the chats. G'day, Charles. Legend. We didn't trade, but Track did return to full contact main training. That is excellent news.
There you go, mate. One to definitely track over the next couple of weeks. Track. There you go.
Yeah, very smart, very funny. No surprise, the difference in the two practice games when you look at the 100%. Yep. It was always bound to happen. I just wish they changed the ordering around so that I could watch in my lunch break Hawthorn and Geelong as opposed to watching
the good game and not the poor game.
Oh, that was really annoying. Yeah. G'day, Capital J. Hey, boys. Just wondering which two you boys would choose out of Bailey Smith, Riley Sanders, and Luke Parker.
I think just for the amount of ownership that he's got, I think you have to pick Smith. Sanders and Parker, I would probably go. I need to see from the Dogs what happens with their team and their team structure and whatnot. Was their preseason intra-club game just like a one-off and what their structure's like? But Parker would probably be number 2 out of that list for myself.
Let's have a look. We go to the AFL.
Smith was lively, and that's something that I haven't really seen much from him.
Oh, this wouldn't even
good to see him running around after like 2 years of being injured.
Yeah, this probably wouldn't even show because you played an intra-club. It wasn't even a game against someone else. So we probably don't even have the stats. Yeah, we don't even have the stats for the for how many centre bounces were attended in that game in the intra-club. We'll see more. We'll see more in the official practice game against Melbourne this week. Will be interesting. Look, personally for me, I think Bailey Smith is just so wildly owned. He's so widely owned and wildly owned. It's ridiculous. And I would say that this was his first hit out, part of being managed. He only had the 16% CBAs during this game. I don't think that measly amount of CBAs is what he's going to have in the regular season. He has had a long time out of the game. And they did say that they're going to manage him and they're going to ease him into it. He just looked good in terms of his running on the wing. He looked good that he's got that speed. He did apply some tackling pressure as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Bailey Smith, starts to see a bit more integrating into the centre bouncer tendencies as we get further along. 40% in the first quarter, 42% in the second quarter. Third quarter, he didn't get anything. And then fourth quarter, he also didn't get anything either. So I don't anticipate he's going to have a whole half where he's not getting centre bounces. I would almost consider that performance from Bailey Smith to be his floor. So looking forward to keeping him. And he's likely to be a keeper for the whole year. Sanders, I think Sanders had a decent role against Essendon, to be fair. He just didn't really perform in it. Now, you're not really supposed to look too much into the form and how you performed on the day because the conditions were a little bit all over the place. It was sunny for a bit, and then it was super rainy, and then it was really windy. He did get the most CBAs on the day for the Western Bulldogs. So that's what you wanted to see. If you wanted to have Riley Sanders, it's because you weren't sure what his CBA count was going to look like. You would have been happy with the fact that he had 80% CBAs in the first quarter. That's he had only a 33% in the second, but then when he played in all of them in the third. And then in the last quarter, he also had a lot there as well. Now, Richards didn't have any. There was no Bond that was really eating into it. So is this the exact mix that they're going to go with in the regular season? You would think not. So this is going to be really interesting to see. But if you're looking just from the outside in and you're contemplating Riley Sanders, you needed him to play a lot of CBAs, and that he did in this practice game. You see him again in the next practice game, and if he gets a lot of CBAs there as well, then you can be confident picking him until Treloar comes back, in my opinion. Rio needs to stop wasting my boy Jackson's potential. Should be the main ruck.
Yeah, potentially. I just personally, I don't actually know if he wants to be main ruck. To be honest, seems to love playing this hybrid mid-type role where he can get the ball and run around. And I think kind of limiting him to ruck only pushes that away a little bit. So, yeah, it's a bit of a rough one, I think.
It is a rough one. Layla concussed, big worry for round one.
He's got a couple of weeks to go.
Yeah, he's got time before that point. That's not an issue. That's not an issue at all. Are we ready to go, Jess?
Yeah, go for it.
Guys, brace yourselves. I'm not going to say the other one because that's his catchphrase. I'll just say, rilassati per favore. We have a very special guest. You guys know who it is. You've been waiting for it for 47 minutes and maybe even longer because it was a great thumbnail. We have the one and only Scodfather.
Just coming down.
I can't.
Unfortunately, last night I watched all this soccer. I was watching the Liverpool game, then I was watching the Manchester United game, and then I had like an hour, 2 hours sleep. Then I watched the Richmond game. Okay, then I watched the Geelong game, and then I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, my mum was screaming. She goes, "I cooked lamb chops." I go, "What time is it, mum?" She goes, "It's 7:30." I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, they're not going to come in there. They're going to get very upset at me." So that's why I'm late because I was too busy sleeping. I was having La La Land dreams,
mate. When mums make chops, you gotta eat those chops, mate. When mum comes call it with those chops, you gotta chop.
Yes, but then my stomach's full. I'm happy. Yeah, where do I read all the comments? I'm a bit confusion right now. What do I say? Because I'm not usually a live person. I'm very I usually record and then I don't look at the comments. So where do I look? Is there some? Do I have to go on YouTube to look at this, or how does it work?
Yeah, you can open up YouTube and you can look at the YouTube comments from YouTube, or just make sure that it's muted so that you're not hearing yourself twice, perhaps.
Oh, does that what happens? Okay, that makes sense. Yes.
Or Joe can just press, or whoever can just press a comment, and then it just pops up on the screen, and we just kind of go from there.
Okay, because all right. Yeah, here we go.
There's a couple of different ways.
Maybe this works.
Oh, look at this. I don't really like cheese. Has donated $15 because he sees you need more cash for your spuds.
Yeah, actually, I don't like Cheese. He's a very good boy, and apparently his name is actually Cheese on Twitter, but he doesn't like cheese. But actually, he's the same as me. I don't like cheese either, but he's a very good boy, and we chat all the time. He's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. We love Cheese. Cheese is one of our favorites up here. Thank you so much, Cheese, for your generosity, mate. You're an absolute superstar.
Actually, Cheese has also joined the big cash league. He's in there as well. So watch out for him.
How many How many people now in the big cash leg, Scott?
Well, we got we're approaching we're approaching $24,000. So we've got nearly 240 people.
That's a
And,
lot.
Wow.
I was speaking to the horse today, and he thinks he told me that we could have 500. So there's about another 300 that we haven't actually haven't paid, but they've got the account details. So we're looking at close to 500.
Wow.
And even Swiss has jumped on board. So be careful of Swiss. We got Moira's Magic jumped on board. We got a few. Supercoach of Diaz jumped on board. So we got. It's going to be very interesting. Going to be a lot of fun.
100%. That is
great.
unbelievable.
Crazy to think that you guys might end up getting more cash prize than Supercoach itself.
Well, we're just about to pass over what they pay in BBL, because BBL pays 25K, so we're just about to cross that over. So we're going to pass that section, and imagine that you got 50K coming from Supercoach, you got 50K coming from the Scodfather Cashley, Scodfather and Horse Cashley. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, mate, that is unbelievable. You guys are a couple. I know he's the horse and you're the spud farmer. So this general farm theme, but you guys are both goats for running these things. Honestly, you are no longer a spud farmer. You are a goat farmer now, my friend. Well done. Well done. Keep up the good work. And hopefully everyone joins in, guys. Everyone here knows who you are. If you haven't somehow subscribed to the Scodfather, absolutely do yourselves an incredible favor and go on over, check him out, and check out that cash league as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Last man standing as well. Loved watching that one, being part of that one last year as well. So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to enjoy it. It's all about having fun. Logan says, defensive rookies seem to be lacking. Are we comfortable running 2 rookies on field, or are we looking to restructure to get SDK to D5?
I watched SDK's practice game. Okay, this is before today's game. Okay, so I watched the practice game. He was getting beat. I went and watched today's game, and I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't know how much he's going to score. He had a big game against his brother, and that was a massive game. And mind you, his brother had a bigger game, but I don't think SDK is going to go massive. So, and he's a very awkward price. So I haven't got it in front of me here, but it was about 330K or something off memory. So
361, 900, yeah.
I'm personally passing on SDK. I'm not going to. It's in drafts. Different story. Grab him, yeah. For drafts, just grab him and have him there. He might be top 20, top 30, maybe. But for Supercoach Classic, no, not for me. But I do understand the question, because I'm having the same problems. How many rookies are we going to put on field? And the boy today, O'Sullivan, looked not bad.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't mind his game. So it costs a little bit more. I know we're tight. A lot of our here are tight asses. I want to spend the cash, but I think maybe you're going to fork it out for him. 149. I'm going to pay it. The second boy we also saw today, and mind you, I've got him on my midfield bench, and it's Allen.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he looks good, but I put him on the midfield bench because I don't have enough cheapos to put on that midfield bench. So I had to put in there. And so in my backline bench, I've got 3 that I think will play. I'm looking for a 4th customer. Okay, I've got O'Sullivan, Zach Reed, and Bustlinger from the Dogs.
Oh, you like Bustlinger more than Leak?
Well, I've got Leak as the 4th one. I've got Leak and Bustinger on the bench, but I'm not sure if they're going to play. Yeah, so I sort of know that O'Sullivan and Reed will play. All right, I'm convinced. I just need to see that Leak and Bustinger are going to play. So I've got them both on the bench, and hopefully they play so that fills up my 6 players. Because I'm going in deep. I think you're going to have to run with 3. I've got 3 of them. 3. Well, sort of guns. One is sort of a mid-pricer in defense, and I got Callum Mills as a D4.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've sort of gone. What I've actually taken a gamble on Perryman. Okay, no, I didn't want to mention his name, but all right, the secret is that just come it down. I've told you his name now. So I've got Perryman out there, so I'm not sure what he's going to do, but I did do some research on Perryman, and I liked what I saw. Um, he's a type of player. If you look at the boy they come from GWS, all right? So you look at the boy from Richmond, Taranto, and it sort of put me off midfielders because they can't kick from GWS when they come to another club. But Perryman, he's not bad. I saw his highlights, and he doesn't miss. Okay, he hits every target. He has composure. So he looked really good, and they're saying something like he's gonna be the second midfielder once the Goey comes back. Might be number 3, but Perryman 415k. If he goes at 100, for example, he makes 100k, and we just get him for someone else later on. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be a keeper, but as long as it's a stepping stone.
What's your thoughts on Frieger? No Bailey Dale, but was basically taking all the kickouts, 370k in the back line.
Yeah, that's a very awkward price again. I mean, in defense, half-backs, they need the kick-ins. Without the kick-ins, is not good for me. I don't like any half-back that takes no kick-ins, except maybe Clark is the only one I can trust. And even him, he's not a top 6. Fraser might make some cash. He may go to maybe 450k, maybe. But if we have a look from last year, go to all the halfbacks, every single one of them that take no kick-ins. What is the highest averaging halfback last year with no kick-ins? I don't think Fraser will take those kick-ins because of Dale. Okay, Dale's going to have he's a hog. Okay, he's going to take them all. So, what's the highest averaging halfback from last year? And you'd probably look around about the 80s, 85.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Martin was D9, and he was on kick-ins to start the year. So even then, that's potentially inflated.
And plus, Nick Martin sort of went forward, kicked goals, played a bit in the wing, played a bit in the midfield. So he sort of wasn't stuck in that halfback role.
Correct.
So we can't include Nick Martin because
you can't include him.
And plus, he's a bit of a sputter at the Abs Magic, so we sort of we can't. So we actually don't talk about Nick Martin. Just come on down.
He's a sputter at Essendon too, so don't need to worry.
I had to bring him up. For you. CWT, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, CWT. Mate.
Love Harley Reid. He's going to look Essendon even better in the red and black. Hopefully this year. I love taking the mick about that. And Yaron,
thank you, Yaron.
Unbelievable. He's one of the most generous people you've ever seen, Yaron. Honestly, are you cashing in your XRP already, Yaron? Is that the problem? Don't do it, mate. Keep holding on to that cash. Thank you so much, mate. You're an absolute legend. But I think with Fraser, it's really important to note, though, that there was no Bailey Dale. And Bailey Dale, I think, is the main man distributing off halfback for the Bulldogs. He's taking all the kick-ins from what I could tell in the preseason reports. I want to know why he didn't play in the game. Is there something that they haven't disclosed? Load management is, and I do recall he was running laps before this week as well, the day before. So I don't know. The question is he carrying something? That's what I want to know.
You got to also consider last year, because the coach is Bevo, okay? And Bevo changes these players' roles. If we see that maybe Dale's not going to take the kick-ins, because last year when I owned Dale and I'm expecting kick-ins, he wasn't taking the kick-ins. And when I first got him, he was taking the kick-ins. So it changes. So if Fraser is the main distributor now, because they don't have no one else to take these kick-ins, maybe he's a go then. Maybe he's not bad. Okay, he's very good. Okay, but if he doesn't take the kick-ins, he's not good. Okay, it's a pass.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree. We need to have kick-ins if you want to be our halfback, because that's who the top scorer is going to be. The top scorers in the back line are all going to be the kick-in takers, and you don't want to have people who are getting 10 less points every game.
Well, you take 5 kick-ins, okay, an example, 5 kick-ins, that's 20 points automatically, okay? So if your average is 90, all of a sudden your average is 110. From those kick-ins, if you run towards the player and get it back and take another 4 points for a kick, add another 10 points there, then you got 30 points. last year we saw McKercher. I remember one play from McKercher got him 18 points. It was not, and I didn't only. I was pulling my hair out. I've got no hair left because of McKercher. So kick-ins. You saw the Fish last year. Remember the Fish?
Yeah.
Okay, the Spud.
Yes.
How did the Fish score 140 points in a game? It's unheard of. It's because the kick-ins.
Correct.
So, you need those
Right.
kick-ins.
You wait for Caleb Daniel. If you're one of the like 30% of people that currently don't have Caleb Daniel in your team, you're really, really going to struggle this year because he, from practice and match sim and stuff, he's been doing the kick out and then getting the pass and then kicking it down the line again. So, yeah, it's pretty good to watch.
The worst thing about Caleb Daniel, the worst thing as a non-owner, okay, he can only kick 30 meters, okay, which means he's going to kick the ball 30 meters and he's going to get back to it and run to it again, kick it another 30 meters, then run again. 30 meters, like for him, maybe 30 steps, okay, but it's going to take he's going to go nuts, okay. I'm actually thinking of captaining Caleb Daniels every week or vice captaining. He can be the best. He could be the best player for the year.
I called him my F1. I have him as F. I reckon he will be F1. I reckon he will score more than the Horny Man this year.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was playing. If you're playing draft, okay, I know a lot of here play Supercoach, okay, but if you're playing draft, because I was playing draft with some of the big boys, okay, and I was trying to be smarty pants, and I saw him there. I didn't want to get him straight away because I knew I'm going to pick him up before everyone else. He went in round 2, okay? Someone picked him up in round 2. Some unheard of. A 250K player picked up in round 2 on a draft.
Unbelievable. That is the role that he plays.
So, yeah, you have to get him.
Absolutely. Legend. Someone free my main Jackson. Come back to Melbourne. Guaranteed man Ruck when Gorn retires. He's not coming back, Legend. Let him go. That ship has sailed, mate.
Actually, Legend 24 is actually another legend. We chat to him on Twitter. A devoted Melbourne man. He's forcing me to pick Gorn every week. He tells me if you don't pick Gorn, something wrong with you. But unfortunately, Legend 24, I can't have Gorn this year, so I'm gonna pass on Gorn.
Yeah, for sure. Skits fits afternoon, lads. Reedy was better than Samson Ryan. That's for sure. Oh, Samson Ryan.
Now, let me tell you about Reedy now, okay? Now, I'm sorry it gets fits, but make sure you're sitting down, okay? I hope you don't want to fall down or nothing when I tell you this now. But Reedy, when you have a ruckman that only has 10 touches a game, what's he gonna average? And those touches are usually handballs. He does do a couple of tackles, okay? So it was not bad. I can't see him averaging more than 50. Okay, that's going to be maybe 60 on a good day. All right, he's going to have 60 points. 60 points. He's going to play maybe 3 games or 4 games before Shrek or as we call him now, the Prince comes back. Okay, now once the Prince is back, Reedy's not going to play. So you're not going to get enough games out of him to make money. So he's going to be stuck on that bench as your R3 or whatever you're going to put him. If you're thinking of having a Reedy at R3 and having maybe Boyd at flex, it could be disaster. Okay, so and you want to play Boyd. I'm hearing he's going to play. I'm hearing St Kilda's going to play two talls, and one is going to be Boyd, and the other is going to be Marshall. They were going to play possibly Heath, but I don't think he's going to play. So it's going to be Boyd. So you'd rather have Boyd in the R3 spot instead of Reedy. Yeah. So I think Boyd is the must-have. And plus, Boyd's only 99. Okay, so he's for the tight asses. Okay, so you've got to have him.
And the goodbye. Oh,
yeah, and the goodbye.
We got MJ from the coaches
What's up,
panel.
panel?
How you doing, MJ? Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you haven't subbed to the coaches panel, MJ does an incredible job over there. Of course, the 50 most relevant players is a staple that you just simply have to watch and pay attention to every single Supercoach preseason. So thank you so much, MJ, for coming on.
And I have to mention MJ as well, because when I was not a YouTuber, okay, and I was just like most of the people here on chat. I was like them. Okay, so I was watching the YouTubers, and MJ, mind you, wasn't on YouTube. Okay, he was pretty much more or less on on podcasts via audio. I don't know which channels, but MJ was my number one that I was always listening to back then. It was a long time ago, all right? And coach's coach, or Supercoach coach, or something like that. There was two of them. And MJ was one of them because he has this voice. He sort of hypnotizes you. Okay, the minute he talks, you sort of your eyes wander. Okay, and they sort of glow, and you're sort of stuck. You can't move. He sort of hypnotizes you. MJ does, but great man. Okay, he's a great man. I actually met him last year. He's an awesome man. Now, he hasn't invited me to his channel yet, so I'm still waiting, but I'm sure it's going to come one. Just coming down.
He can sell me a snake and tell me that this is a great scarf. On you, MJ. Well done, mate. Oh, look at this. There's a really long wind up to call MJ old Scodfather. He's there.
There you go.
Supercoach coach, says Johnny Blaze. Thank you.
Yeah, they were legends too. I loved listening to Supercoach coach. Even them, the voice, it was hypnotizing. You just fall asleep when they talk to you. You want to buy something. You want to get the wallet out and buy something from them, but they don't sell nothing. I can't believe it.
Oh, Jay, that's so funny.
Godfather, what did you see from today's practice matches? You see much from Richmond, West Coast, and Hawthorn, Geelong that you kind of might have changed your teams or confirmed a few different things?
Well, I saw a premiership team for starters at Richmond. Okay, what I was watching was very, very nice. Okay, now I think a three-peat coming up, possibly starting from 3 years' time. Okay, it's going to be big. But the problem at Richmond is those young kids. I don't think they're going to be Supercoach relevant this year. We're going to probably downgrade to Richmond players, but not start with them. Maybe Laylaw will start. I don't think anyone else is going to start from Richmond. There was no one that I saw. Even Smith, he's not going to start. They got Banks there running from the halfback line. Smith, he just didn't look ready. I think he has to play at least another 10 or 15 games at the VFL. The problem also at Richmond is the way they played. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting a fast game. Something, let the kids run, get the ball, run with the ball, just do something. But no, they have to hold the ball and play kick and hog the ball and just make mistakes. It was just crazy. I didn't like the coaching. So hopefully they change that and bring them and make the kids do something. But in regards to Supercoach from the Richmond boys, you're going to find a lot of downgrade targets, and you have to get them when they come one by one. Because once you get them, the chances are most of those boys are going to play a lot of games. So because they're going to blood them, they're going to play at least 10 games or 15 games to get their bodies right and get used to the game style. So look out for the young Tigers as downgrade targets. Now going to West Coast. What do I see now? The problem is at West Coast, they've got two boys that everyone knows about. So we're all going to start those two boys, okay? And that's Hewitt, and the other one's Allen. Now, with my structures right now and being the tight ass that I am, okay? Now, I can't... because they're cheap and they both have forward eligibility, I'm actually thinking of putting both of them in my midfield. And if I can find cheapos elsewhere, then maybe... get the cheap players elsewhere. The reason for that is because we have round 2 bye, round 3 bye, round 4 bye. A lot of scores get dropped out. You got 5 scores dropping off. So scores don't matter what you score in those 3 bye rounds. So if Allen scores, for example, a 60, I don't think it's going to count anyway. So I might as well have him in the midfield bench and have another spud in my forward line or my defense, scoring another 50. It doesn't matter because then the scores aren't going to count. So that's why I'm looking at going cheapo down there, and then eventually one by one building it up. But we'll see if we can find enough cheapos to play. Okay, that's the important part. We need job security and we need them to play. And I'm struggling to find. Well, actually, in defense we might be lucky because I told them might have saved us today. But from West Coast. I don't think I saw enough out of the other boys, out of the cheapos. There's only two rookies that I really liked, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was keen on Hutchinson for a while, but I just don't think he saw enough of the ball for the price.
Nope.
Yeah, Hutchinson's got that role that a lot of people jumped on yesterday. That O'Driscoll's got, okay, on that
Yep.
wing, the same role that Bailey Smith has got. Okay, now now on the wing, it's not my favorite spot. I don't like wingers.
No.
Okay, running of chickens. Okay, they have wings. Okay, so I don't like just come down. So I don't like wingers. I like the boys that run through the guts, through the midfield.
Correct.
So I'm not sure. Hutchinson looks like a good kid, but the 250k on the wing, he's got to average minimum 80. Okay, and then
Yeah.
you just to make 150k, whereas you can get 150k from a player that's going to average 55 or 60.
Yeah.
That is cheaper. So and they can spend their cash elsewhere because at the end of the day, you got $10 million. If you spend from your 10 million, 250k, 250,000 of it just to make 150k, well, you can spend 130k of it to make 150k and spend the other cash elsewhere. Is how I say it's money management. So I can't see Hutchinson coming in my team anyway. And now we didn't see the other boy. We're happy to see him. Apparently he was ill or something. So the one that plays from the Maric. Okay, we didn't see Maric play. So I wanted to see him big time, but I didn't see him. So, but then again, he might not have got much action today anyway because the ball didn't go there much. So maybe he wouldn't have done much.
Well, someone that I really wanted to watch. Now all of it, Hutchinson is a no good. Just calm down. Someone that I did want to watch from your boys that didn't end up playing, Scott, was Jaden Short. Now, I'm not big on Jaden Short, and I agree with you that he's a bit of a con man. But if you're going to play that chip mark, side-to-side, kick-to-kick type of role, he could almost end up Luke Ryan 2.0.
The only problem with Short, does he take all the kick-ins for starters? Because Luke Ryan takes all the kick-ins. Okay, so he's a hog. Luke Ryan's a hog. Now at Richmond, they've got a few that take the kick-ins, and they usually share it amongst three just to trick the opposition, so the opposition doesn't understand their game plan. Which I mean, Blind Freddy can see a game plan, but they have three players that want to take the kick-ins. But Shorts with that game plan, you're right. He could do okay. But then again, I saw the fact that when you play this chip game, and the other team has a press on you, you sort of run out of options to chip the ball somewhere because you got nowhere to kick it. So that's when at the end they just kick it long. So maybe he is going to have possibly 20 touches or 30 touches a game, and it could do good. But it's a big gamble for him. He's not my type of player. Okay, he's never averaged more than 98 from memory.
No.
I've never seen him go 100.
Yeah, that's correct.
When you play, you want him to go at least 105 to make some cash on him, just for him to do something. But going at 100s, I see Perryman is a better option than him because Perryman at least has opportunities to tackle, to do something. Short, I can't see it. So for me, it's a pass. But maybe with the new game plan, I want to see him play and what he does with it. So we'll see how it goes. But last year we had Rioli as our distributor. Now, Rioli didn't average much, okay? Our halfbacks don't usually score much. They used to at one stage. Actually, I can't remember when it was long. Bowden was our halfback that scored a lot, okay? A long time. It was many years ago before most of you were born, okay? It was Joel Bowden was a massive scorer of Supercoach points. But these boys aren't the same like Joel Bowden, so I don't see it. As I said, Rioli, I don't know, what did he average last year? Was it in the 80s?
He only averaged 92.9 last year.
92.9. I mean, people say Rioli's gone. Who's going to get us all these points? Well, he's only got 92 points to give, so he hasn't got much. So I don't know. I'm not sold on Short, to be honest.
Fair enough. We've got some people here asking about an ex-Richmond guy in Jack Graham. What did you think of Jack Graham's game?
Jack Graham, when he was at Richmond, all right, when he played at Richmond, he was never the number one midfielder, all right. He was the third of he was number 4 or 5, and he came to the club as a pure midfielder, but he couldn't get a game in the midfield. So we used wingers in that midfield. We used players like or half forwards to come for that midfield. And Jack Graham does break down a lot. I can't recall him playing more than 5 games in a row. It's very rare. It's like you got to check your eyesight if you see him play 5 games back to back. You get a faint. You can't believe these things. So I'm not sold on Jack. Now, what's his price? What's he priced at, Jack Graham? I haven't got it in front of me.
376 mid forward.
Yeah, if he was 250k, okay, then I would consider Jack Graham. At 250k, he would average 80. And then you'd consider it. But at 350k, you want Jack Graham to go at virtually 100 or 95. And I can't see Jack Graham going at 95. He also doesn't have a very good kick. I mean, he's okay, but he's not. So he sort of makes a lot of grubbing kicks. And the game style that they're going to play, it's not suited for Supercoach. The coach from West Coast is bringing in the old Richmond game style, is get the ball and just kick it along or just push it forward. And so there's not a lot of possessions coming your way as a midfielder from West Coast, because you're just going to rush the ball forward all the time. So it's not hold the ball up. So I don't know about Jack Graham. I think the price is too awkward for me to even consider him.
Yeah, like who are you going to pick, Jack Graham in the forward line or Bailey Smith? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Or Caleb Daniel. Okay, now
or even
there's a different story there.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the forward lines are full of even Hugo Garcia. Like the forward line's got so many mid prices at this point. You know what I mean? Like, and people initially didn't really want to spend up so much, for example, on Horn Francis, because he's already priced at about 100. So a lot of different people are taking different routes in terms of how they want to fill up their forward line. Some of these rookies are showing that they could very well be fieldable options. Like, you know, Hewitt now has proven that he's someone that you probably want to have on your field, and you wouldn't be disappointed having him on your field if he's playing on the ball, for example. Daniel Curtin looked really good in the intra club. He might be someone that you could potentially might want to field, for example, because the defensive rookies, we spoke about it before, they're really scarce. Like you'd almost don't want to play any defensive rookies at this point.
With our forward line, with those mid prices, let me get my forward line. Let's see who I put in there. I'm not going to give that too much away, but I do at the moment have Sanders. Okay, now Sanders is in my team. Nice. Now I prefer Sanders actually over Bailey Smith, believe it or not. So I've picked Sanders. Now, we have a problem with Bevo. We've had this problem every year, and I actually called Bevo last night. We had a chat. Okay, now me and Bevo had a talk, and I told Bevo, look, no one's happy here. The crowd, the people, they're all speaking. They don't want to pick any Western Bulldogs players. Then no one's happy. And with Bevo, he has no options this year, because who is he going to put in that midfield? Because if he puts Sanders in the VFL, he's got no one else to replace him with. You got Garcia, and he impressed so much as well. But Garcia is like Libba, is the same thing. Okay, if you got Libba, you got Garcia. They actually look like twins. They can't separate them. So Sanders is that outside running player. You need someone to handball when you get the ball. Sanders is that man. Now, when I was watching Sanders live, I didn't like his game. I thought he didn't touch the ball. And then when I saw the stats, he's had 28 touches. I said, I wasn't sure if I was watching the same game. Something wrong.
It was a surprise.
28 touches. It looked like maybe a 15 disposal game. So when I saw 28, I felt actually hurt my head, because I felt the chair. It was very painful. But I don't understand. But if he's going to have 28 touches and you're not going to notice him, imagine when you do notice him, he's going to have 40 touches. So, and there was no Bont there. There was no Libe there to give him that ball. There's only Ed Richards and a bit of Garcia. So, because he's not a tough nugget. Okay, he's not a big boy like Big J. Big J's a big boy. Okay, so he's nothing like a Big J. So, but he can go 35 touches. I reckon he can do it.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And I think the pace is something that Dogs definitely need through there. We saw periods of time. I think like Libba's slowing down. Treloar, obviously, Hammies isn't great, and then Johannesson and a few others out in that team. The only thing that's really kicking me away is that round 12 bye. Like, it just hurts. So if I can get past that a little bit, I think we'll be okay. Richards, I think, I don't know if he plays the same type of role. It's almost like Sanders is like the LDU, just all LDU, kneel, burst from the middle, run forward type player. Something they haven't had for a while, I think.
Yeah, well, we're going to see, as we know, Treloar's out, so someone's got to replace Treloar. Someone needs that speed and dash. And virtually, the two boys you mentioned, Richards can do that. Plus, he can play on the inside. He can play inside and outside. So Richards has got that X factor. And plus, he's playing as the weapon this year. So we've actually named him as the weapon. So just he's only, 2% owned. When he was the weapon, it was only 1%. But then Supercoach of Dia had to mention that he's his weapon as well. So we won't call him his weapon.
He's 3%.
But then he was 2%. So I can't come down with that news. So now I'm not sure how many people own him now, but I really like Richards.
3%.
It's 3% now. We're going to lose him soon. Everyone's going to grab him. So
he looked really good. He looked really good in this Pracky game.
He actually made a few mistakes. It was a windy game, so he did kick the ball to the opposition a lot. But Sanders and Richards, I think, and Garcia are going to be a big instrumental part of that midfield this year. Even the coaches mentioned Garcia. So he's going to be big in there. Obviously, the Bont is the other one, and then they got Libba, and we don't know how much, how sore Libba's due for retirement soon. They've planned him. He's got the village coming up, the retirement village, and he's going to be living there for a while. So they don't want him injured. Okay, so maybe he might play a bit of half forward, a bit of midfield, but we don't want to injure the young man or the old grandpa. So we'll see how it goes.
They need to send Crossley with him. Gee, that was he had a tough day in the office, Crossley.
And actually, if we're talking about if the topic is the Bulldogs now, okay, English is the one that people should. I'm not sure what his ownership is because I haven't got that in front of me. But English, if you take a look at last year, his ruck time was reduced big time.
9%.
9%, is it?
Yes.
It was actually 10. It was at one stage it was 10%, so it actually dropped down to 9%. Who are the other people? That time they all jumped on Reedy now. I don't know what's going on, but at 9%, he was a 700K player only 15 months ago. Okay, now and he let a lot of people down last year. Okay, a lot of people were very upset, and now the problem is those people that are upset and he let down are going to be even more upset if he goes nuts this year because they could be 1 year off. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Okay. Now, if you want to watch a player go 130s, like I watched 2 years ago, I watched him go 130s every week. I was going crazy. English is that kind of player that can do it because he gets all those handballs, kicks, marks. He's not a ruckman. He's more a ruck rover. Or a big version of a ruck rover, okay, like Big J, okay. Now, but I think he can do it. I think for me, he's locked as my in my ruck line. I have him going to average probably the best out of all the ruckmen this year.
Wow, big call.
Interesting.
I have him.
Big call. I still have Max Gorn. I still have Cherry as my kind of 1-2, but definitely English is R3. I think this year the Dogs are a bit of a weird type of situation, and I think as all their tools keep getting injured, they need to keep moving players around, and maybe that helps English a little bit, maybe that doesn't.
Well, that's why I've got him, because we noticed they brought in Crossley. Yeah. If you're going to bring in Crossley, you're only bringing him in because you don't want to use your other tools. So that's why, and Crossley is a backup. He's not going to be, he's like an insurance policy, okay? They've gone to Amy, okay? They've got an insurance policy, and it's Crossley come over. So Crossley's only there to play VFL. He's not there to play AFL. He's only there to cover if English is not playing because they don't want to use the other two boys. So don't be too concerned about Crossley. Actually, it's a positive that he's playing. If they grab him in, that is anyway. But English, I can see 80% CBA's ruck work around the ground. He's going to be very instrumental for the Dogs this year.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
We've got someone in the chat who's apparently very desperate. He's posted like 15 million times in the chat. Barnaby, I don't even know if that's his real picture or not, is asking about Dylan Shield. 1% owned, taking kick-ins, half-back, is desperate. What do you reckon, Scodfather?
Okay. Now, Barnaby. Okay. Now, just coming down. Okay. Now, with the back line at Essendon, they have a lot of hogs there. Okay, now take a look, go through their Essendon back line. Let's have a look. Now, we've got a few Bomber supporters in the house as well, and they probably agree with me. There's a lot of players at Essendon that run through that back line. Let me get the stats up.
McGrath, Redmond, Ridley.
Now the red man, if you ever noticed him, okay, he runs. Okay, when he gets his hamstrings, the only time he gets his hammies is when he gets to try to run to get that kick in. Okay, because he's a hog. So he's a massive hog for kicking. I think he plays I'm sure he plays Supercoach, or his kids do. So his kids play Supercoach just to watch how his dad plays. I don't know if he's got kids, but anyway, someone plays Supercoach in the family, and he's a hog. So he takes kick-ins. You got well, we had last year. Martin couldn't get a kick-in because of these players in the background. You got McGrath. He takes the kick-ins. Okay, Ridley's coming back. He takes the kick-ins.
Correct.
There's no one at Essendon they're going to give kick-ins to this young boy Shield. Okay, in the practice game we saw a couple of kick-ins, and that wasn't even a practice game. That was amongst themselves. Okay, they're having a party. Correct. But I can't see Shield taking these kick-ins. He may do well. He might average. I see an average of 80, 85 from halfback because he needs those midfield minutes to get those to be amongst the ball. When you're halfback, unless the ball is living there, you're not going to have much action. And Essendon probably going for a quicker game style as well this year. So I would probably pass on Shield. If it's for a draft, maybe, yes, but I don't think it's Supercoach relevance.
I agree. We are looking to we want the ball in his hands because he's a line breaker. He's not going to be there because he's a beautiful kick of the football. He's not like the Dane Zorko. People are looking at him and trying to make the comparison to Dane Zorko. But Zorko is actually a very good short kick. He actually hits targets really well and then follows up with that. That's not Shield's game. Shield's game has always been in midfield, bursting away, kicking the ball inside forward 50 to all Australian geniuses like Jeremy Cameron, for example, when he was playing at GWS. He's not playing that role anymore for us at the Bombers. It's if he's getting the ball, it's him running by and kicking the ball inside 50. He's not going to be a super accumulator. He's not going to be like Dane Zorko or Caleb Daniel who do those short chip little passes and then follow up with another short little chip pass, follow up another short chip pass. That's not Dylan Shield's role. So, and at that price, it's not going to do it.
Plus, if you look at players similar to him and the same similar roles, you look at Sard. First player you look at is Sard. Exactly. Now, what did Sard average when he was at Essendon? If you go back to Sard at Essendon, well, I don't know. That was before I was born, I think, but I'm not sure what it was. But it was a long time ago, and I don't think he averaged more than 70 or 80. No. I think 80 would been his max.
97, but that was 17 games, so that's not a full season. Full season, he averaged 82.6. A full season, 75.1.
And that would be a very similar game to what Dylan Shield's going to play, that burst type player. So it doesn't suit Supercoach that role.
No, I agree. So I wouldn't go there personally, guys. No. We see the halfback role and we think, oh yes, get me onto it. You know, sort of thing with Ollie Hollands. You know, the halfback. But are you taking kick-ins? And if you're going to play halfback, a lot of the points are in the kick-ins and the playing on from the kick-ins. So you want those players. You want those players more than anything. Thanks, Scodfather. That's absolutely correct. Engo here is, of course, you are a gem in our community. Engo, shouting you out there.
Now, let me tell you a story about Engo now. Okay, now, Engo, shows me his team. Usually people show me their team once a week, okay, but not Engo. No, Engo shows me his team every 5 minutes, okay, so I get to see his latest version every 5 minutes. But he's a beautiful young man, and he's actually a good friend of mine. We've become good friends, and Engo is the only person virtually in the whole Supercoach community that actually sees my team. I only share it with Engo. So if you see Engo's team, if you see Engo, you can sort of block him in the corner, and you've got to see my team. You can get it from Engo, but you sort of got to punch him and just sort of do something to him. But I don't think he'll give it to you anyway, because he's a very loyal young man.
Abs, you might have just put a bounty on Engo's head. Now everyone's going to be trying to trace after Engo, trying to get your team out of him.
Yeah, be careful of Engo. But Engo, he's a very funny man too. So he always shows me this team of spuds, and he calls them a Rolls Royce team. But at the end of the day, he's gonna eventually have a good team, I'm sure. Engo, he has brainstorms a lot. So I think he drinks the same coffee as me, because he has the same brainstorm. So something wrong there. But Engo, I think this year, watch out. If you see Engo's name in the top 10, you're gonna know why, okay? Because I'm sort of molding him to be a legend of Supercoach, so he's gonna become something special.
The Spuds Royce, or the Rolls Spuds, I don't know, one of those. You know what I'm trying to say. Velo cannot take too much out of the performances in these games. The role is what we need to look at.
Yes, and I'm glad Velo has mentioned this. Okay, now Velo obviously is a seasoned professional, because he knows what he's talking about. I see a lot of chat about a player that's had a big game. Okay, let's for argument's sake, okay, let's say Bailey Smith today had 500 touches. Okay, now everyone's gonna get excited. But what we're looking for is not how many touches he has, but where he plays. That's the important thing. Okay, now the thing that I look for the most in these preseason games is actually the rookies. I don't actually even look at the professional players. I don't look at Sarong play. I don't look at Brayshaw play. These players don't interest me, because I know how they play, unless they have a different role. Okay, now I don't watch Will Day play, because I know how he plays. He's been in my team from day one. The players that I'm looking for are players that have new roles. Okay, I want to see how they play. Players like Caleb Daniel is going to have a new role. I want to see him. I want to see what he does. And you're also looking for these rookies. What are they going to do? You're also shopping, because you're a scout, a scouter. Okay, what do they call this? Scout hunter, whatever they call it. Okay.
Yeah, scout.
Just coming down. Okay, it's coming out. My tongue got twisted. Okay, my teeth was about to fall out. I'm talking. Now, I think with the rookies, if you can find these cheap ones, okay, good ones, quality cheap ones, that's what we're looking for. And I put on Twitter today, I couldn't find one. There's nothing. The cupboard's bare, so we're going to keep searching for them. But yeah, he's right. Velo, okay, it's on the money, Velo. He knows what he's talking about.
He does. And then at the same time, we'll come out and say, Joe, did you work hard enough to even get a lunch break? Velo, I work very hard at my job. I'll have you know, okay? You see the fun, jovial side of me here on Supercoach. When I'm working, I promise I'm working. I'm not like this all the time. Jeez, calm it down. Just calm it down, Velo. Jeez. Kai, just got to remember to not go overkill on the mid prices. Personally, trying to go for the obvious ones, and then just stack rookies for mass cash gen.
Yes. Now, Kai Broom, if no one knows who he is, he's also got his YouTube channel up and running, and is a very intelligent young man. So Kai Broom actually put me onto one of these mid prices himself. So he's the one who mentioned the young man from Collingwood to me, Perryman, and then I had a look at his stats, because Perryman wasn't on my radar until Kai Broom mentioned it. Then I had a look at his stats. Then I went in to look at his more stats. Then I went on YouTube clips. I actually looked up 2 hours of Perryman before I made my decision, and it was sold. Okay, so and Kai Broom is correct. If you can find mid prices, but the right ones, okay, don't overload, but get the right ones. If you got a mid price, let's say at 330K, and that mid price only makes 50 or 60K, is it not good? Okay, it's poo-poo.
Correct.
Okay? You can just flush it down the toilet. It's not good. But if you can get a mid pricer at 430K that goes up to say 550K, you're not only just getting 100 to 105 points a week, you're virtually getting a swap to a fallen primo. You just got to wait your time, and a fallen primo will come. A player will get tagged. Just switch them, and they're the ones you're after. So you got to. It's like nuggets. You got to get the right nugget, golden nuggets. You got to the chicken that laid the golden goose that laid the golden chicken, whatever it's called. I can't come at the help. But it's something like that. So you got to get the right ones. If you nail your mid prices, you're going to go nuts. 3 years ago is when I nailed the mid prices. I had Sherry in my team at 200K back then. I had Hewitt in my team. I had Patrick Cripps in my team. He was like 420K or something. So you got to get the right ones. You nail them, you're going to fly.
Yeah, definitely. I think forward line this year is a little bit more accepting of picking the wrong ones, just with so many good players and so many options. But definitely, big, that 200K between a mid-pricer and a rookie get you another primo.
Initiator's asking if Sardis is a lock. Look, I think just based on the role now, it's not just simply based on the one game that he played against the Bulldogs, where he obviously was very much on the ball. He was our number one CBA attendee of all the players on the field for us. Now, of course, there is Sardis here, attended 86% of the CBAs. And this is a role that we knew, us Essendon supporters, we all knew that this is the role that he was going to play based on the preseason reports and the intra-clubs. He's been training with the A team, and he was quite dominant playing the inside mid role already. And you add to the fact that Darcy Parish is not going to be playing for a long period of time. He has had next to no preseason. I would not be surprised if Darcy Parish does not play at all in the entire front half. He's had that bad back since before Christmas. They tried to push him, and it responded negatively. So I think Sardis is certainly going to be in the number one rotation with the midfield for the Bombers. I think it will be Merritt number one. It's only preseason game. We know Merritt is number one. Just because he had 31% CBAs against the Bulldogs doesn't mean it's going to be the case moving forward.
No.
Merritt will still be number one without a doubt. I think Jai Caldwell will be the second one. I think Sardis will be the third. Now, there was no Durham, but Durham, I think, is going to be splitting his time between the forward line and the midfield, playing maybe a bit high half forward type of role. I think Sardis certainly at that price point is an on-field option.
Sardis in your team, Scodfather?
I don't usually like to spend that kind of cash, but I've actually splashed it on Sardis, and the role is important. Okay, now, for example, I don't have O'Driscoll in my team because he's a winger. I won't splash 200K on a winger, even if he scored 100 points, or if he scored 500 points. I know they don't score 500 points every week, but a player like Sardis has opportunity to score 80s and 90s every week because he's got the role for it. So he's in my team, but I want to see that role in round one. Obviously, we get to see him in round 0, which is a bonus. So we get a good look at him. Then I'll 100% lock him in. There's only 2 players I have that are priced at that 180 plus range. One is Sardis, and the other one is the boy from Carlton, Smith. Okay, they're the only 2 that I have. I don't have anyone else. I don't want to spend money, okay, because I want to shop at the markets this year. So Sardis is locked in at the moment.
Yeah, I think he should be in there. All right, let's have a look. If SDK, now, sorry guys, if I'm skipping just comments in the comment section, we want to try and get the questions out because, of course, we've got the Scodfather with us for a short period of time. Obviously, we don't have all of the time in the world with him, so we're just going to prioritize the questions more so in the comments, guys, so we can catch up. So thanks for your understanding. Big fan of content says, if SDK gets to be full-time ruck, is he a good flex or D4 option? For me, I don't think so.
That's the problem. The last bit of that question, that's the key word, okay? And the first part of the question is if, because we don't know.
Correct.
We're not going to be told. So he's not like the tank, where he's a tank, okay? He's lightly built. the same problem applies to TDK. Okay, now TDK probably won't even play solo ruck for the whole year. He may have most of it, but he won't have all of it. SDK at this early stage, I can't see him being solo ruck for the whole, for even the start of
No
it.
way.
He's going to share it
Right.
because he just isn't built for it yet. Maybe over time, maybe next year he can do it, but I'm not sure if he's ready. And I've asked Dan Batson, who actually watches them train. He goes to their training, and Dan Batson told me he doesn't even know. Okay, and even the coaches at Geelong don't know, so nobody knows the answer. So unfortunately, we can't answer that one. But if he is a full-time ruck, he would be good at flex, yes. But we don't know if he's ever going to be a full-time ruck this year. So that's a tough one.
He won't be. He won't be.
No.
He'll share it with Blixarves. He'll share it with Stanley every now and then. They're not gonna. Geelong love to manage their players. They're great at managing. So I can see him having games where he's managed, even if he doesn't necessarily need it. So you can't trust Chris Scott as far as you can throw him.
And plus, you got Conway to come back as well. I mean, eventually one day, okay, when he turns up, he's going to come and play too. So, although Conway, I'm not sure if you ever watched Conway play before, because I actually owned Conway last year. It was like watching a snail race, okay, and Conway's running to the ball as a snail, and and he was the last snail to run there because it's so slow. So, and he can't play a full game. So after 3/4 time, that was actually sub him off and bring somebody else on. And that's when SDK became the second ruckman because of that, because Conway couldn't last the whole game.
Finish the game.
That's how he became the ruckman.
Charles Zammett says, hi, Abs. I assume he's one of your regulars.
Yeah, Charles Zammett, another legend. This man, if you ever gone to a pastissi shop and ate some pastissis, okay, now Charles Zammett actually eats them for a living. So if you're not sure what a pastissi is, now it's like if you're an Italian, you eat pizza, okay. Now if you're a Turk, you have a kebab. If you're Greek boy, okay, you have a souvlaki, okay. But if you're Maltese, you have a pastissi. That's what a pastissi is. It's like a little thing with peas inside. So very yummy. So and Charles Zammett, absolute legend.
You're getting me hungry now, Abs. What are you doing, man? Jeez. You're going to be starving for some, I call it shawarma as a Lebanese person, but you know how it goes. Now we've got someone else here, Captain Flash, is asking about Grundy as his R2. What do you reckon?
Is Captain Flash sitting down or standing up? It's an important question because
lie down, Captain Flash. Lie down. Don't even sit down. Lie down.
We don't want to have a lawsuit coming our way because we don't want any damages to the young man. We don't want to call ambulances or nothing right now. But I think Grundy is a very scary option. Now the only thing is he may actually be onto something because we actually haven't looked at Grundy's draw. What if Grundy's playing a lot of these spud teams that don't have ruckman at the start? So maybe let's have a look at Grundy's draw. Maybe give him a proper answer. Let's see what he can do. Who's he playing first?
Ruck. Scroll down. All right. So Sydney got Hawthorn. So it's got Meek, the Big O.
Well, Big O maybe not playing. So maybe they'll have at Brisbane they'll have the other boy. What's his
Darcy
name?
Fort, maybe. Yeah. Or
Darcy Fort.
They could have.
Freo, he might have another spud there, Freo, because we know that
Reedy. Could have Reedy.
Then he has a bye. Then he comes back against North. So if you want to have him for 3 games, then maybe it's okay.
Yeah, Sherry, Cameron. Who would this be? This would be what's his face?
Sweet. That'll
Sweet.
Be sweet.
Yeah, that's a sweet matchup. Wits, Briggs. Look, I don't know. By this point in time, are you holding on to him because you have another, or are you looking to?
It started good, okay. It was very promising at the start with that Hawthorn, Brisbane, and Freo start, but it sort of broke down. So if I saw a Geelong in there as well, then I might have got a bit excited, but I didn't see a Geelong in there, so maybe not.
Maybe not. But it is a pod, though, that's for sure.
I think you'll be the 1% that have him if you pick him. So maybe that's a good thing, you know?
That's correct. Oh, Sick Dog. Yeah, Sick Dog looked pretty good. Will Day looked good also, but spent some time forward. SDK. Yeah, SDK we think could be a trap. It's that's an
with
issue.
Will Day. Okay, now this is important. Okay, now him spending time forward is a good thing because time on ground last year he wasn't big on time on ground last year. He was from memory. I think it was 70%. Now I could be wrong, so maybe you have to correct me on this one. What's his time around
71.
last
You're
year?
correct.
70%. Yeah, some 80s in there. Spending that time up forward rather than on the bench for him is a promise. It's an extra, maybe extra goal a game. Okay, 1 goal a game is extra 10 points. So maybe even 20 points, depends when he kicks that goal. So
Correct.
I'd say it's a bonus for him. And we saw today he can score, he can kick goals. I did notice that Newcomb also spent some time forward today. So it sort of alternated a bit. They sort of switched their mids and their forwards and sort of played around with their forwards. So I wouldn't be concerned with Will Day's forward time at all. He's going to play mainly as a mid, and then he's going to rest forward. I'd rather he rest forward than rest on the bench. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
That's exactly right. I agree. I just wish he could kick straighter. He had 3 opportunities. He had 1 goal, 2 behinds, but it's all right. If he kicked all 3, then maybe that means more people would jump on him and select him as an option in Supercoach.
Well,
and then the weapon's not a weapon anymore.
Maybe he was instructing not to do that. Just cover there. That's it. Don't go nuts. So that's what he did.
That's exactly right. Oh, Ange here is talking about Myers. He does it over and over again. Not a chance spot up. He is elite at, I suppose, passing the ball around. So
Angeline Myers. I've done some research. Okay.
Yes.
If you go on to stats of disposals last year at Geelong, Myers was number 2 for disposals. Had the second most disposal of any player at Geelong. The number 1 was everyone's favourites right now, but Myers was at number 2. And I saw today he was playing a lot of up the ground. He plays forward pocket. The next minute you look at it, he's virtually a centre-half back. So it couldn't work out where he was playing. It was everywhere. He could be. Problem of Myers is if Myers played in the midfield, he'd be the best midfielder in the competition. That's how good he was today. So he's very slippery. But the problem with forwards is Geelong. If they're losing a game and there's not much action for that forward, he's not going to score much. So you want your forwards to actually be midfielders rather than be forwards. Myers possibly in the back half of the year, second half of the year, has a really good draw, well, Geelong do anyway. So if you can grab Myers, hopefully he drops or holds his price, even drops in price during the bye rounds and get him as a spare, put him on the bench, get him as a spare and just loop him. You may get some big scores out of him and they can come in very handy.
Interesting. I had not even considered this guy at all.
I actually had a mate of mine, Billy, and I said to Billy on chat today when I was watching Myers, I said, Billy, go to Myers stats, have a look at him. The kid's going nuts. And Billy said, "Who's Myers?" What are you talking about? I said, "Just jump on Myers. Tell me which position he's playing because I couldn't work it out. I didn't know where he was playing. He was everywhere."
That's unbelievable. All right. You've got me on attention now. Myers
watch.
Yeah, Myers watch. Shaq saying no Holmes, delete team. Still 50-50 on Baz. Oh, what do you think about Holmes, Max Holmes? Do you reckon Max Holmes is the man, worth the price?
What's his price exactly? It's
533, I think. 533.
Okay. Now, if you go to last year's averages, was he top 10 or was he more lower?
He averaged 100, so that would have been less than top 10.
You need a 110 average. Holmes sort of is, you can start him, but then you got to trade him out. If you want to, let's say you want to win Supercoach or finish in the top 100, or you want to finish somewhere very high up, because you can't win Supercoach because I'm going to be winning Supercoach. Just come down. So if you want to, let's say, come second this year, in Supercoach, I don't think Holmes is the man. I think you need a player like Whitfield, or you need a player like Zorko. There are a lot of good. You need a player like the boy that's gone to Collingwood now. He's going to go nuts. So you need a player.
And Houston.
Houston. I think he's going to go nuts this year. You need these because Houston. Okay, I'm sorry, I've changed topic from Holmes, but I've gone to Houston now because
It's
the
fine.
Bucks have H and the second letter is O, so it's the same thing for me now. Well, when you go to Houston now, okay, at Collingwood, at Port Adelaide, Houston would share those points with halfbacks. There was 3 of them. Okay, there was Burton, there was himself, and there was somebody else. There was 3 of them all the time sharing these points. If one went big, all 3 went big. If one went bad, all 3 went bad. Okay, they were all the same scores. But at Collingwood, Houston is going to be doing a role virtually with Josh Dacos in the half-back line. And mind you, when we're talking about Josh Dacos, in round 0, there's no Houston. Josh Dacos is going to score 150, okay?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to jump on him. They're going to go nuts. They're going to think, oh my God, look at Josh Dacos, okay? And everyone's going to jump on him, but then he's going to come back down to earth. But Houston, I think this year, if he takes the kick-ins, we don't know yet. If I see him taking these kick-ins and all of them, not just half, he has to take all of them. If he takes all the kick-ins, he's going to be finished at D1. And at 575K, he is an absolute steal right now. But we're going to see, because from what I'm hearing, okay, from Collingwood, the inside words or sources are telling me, which I can't mention because it's black market news, okay? But the news that I'm hearing right now is that the ball is in Houston's hands coming out of defense all the time. Nobody else. They're going to look for him.
Well, they paid the big bucks for a reason. They traded away the farm for him, so they need to give the ball to him. So it just makes sense, doesn't it?
So but by having Holmes, what happens is you can't have Houston. I mean, you can have Houston in there as well, but you got players that are better than Holmes. Holmes is a star, okay? He's going to be a gun. He's an awesome AFL player. But we're playing Supercoach, okay? We want to have the best 6, okay? We can't have the best 7. So the best 6, I don't think it fits in there.
I actually agree. And if you're paying up for these fallen primos or these mid prices, for me, I'd much prefer picking someone who you're confident and has the role and the history of scoring that they could end up being a keeper. So with Dan Houston's price, you've seen he has a history of potentially being top 6 to 8 defender. And at that price, which is really not that far different from Holmes, who you're banking on a first-time breakout. You know what I mean? So it just feels like you're using your money so much more wiser. Plus, you think that he can outperform what he's done in the past as well. We're not thinking we're picking Houston as an option moving forward because we think he can recreate 106. No, if he's going to be the main kick-in man, not sharing with anyone at Collingwood, then there's no reason why he can't go 110 plus.
Well, if he's going to take those kick-ins, okay, and let's say he takes 5 kick-ins extra than what he took at Port Adelaide, that's 20 points. We saw what Dacos did in his first year taking kick-ins at Collingwood. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I know he went nuts. That defender that takes kick-ins at Collingwood that plays on and runs, and the quarterback, as we call him in NFL terms, okay, at Collingwood, the quarterback is massive. They go absolutely crazy. So I can see Houston going at 120s even if he takes all the kick-ins. Okay, it has to be all of them, not just 10% or 20%. That's like all of them. But I think they will give it to him as well.
Yeah, he should take it. He should definitely. Noble's gone. Still side bottom.
My only problem is Darcy Moore's gonna hog the ball. He's a bit of a hog, that boy. Especially when they're losing, got to jump in and start being like, got to carry the team. So, yeah.
But maybe Darcy Moore took those kickers because there was nobody else. Okay, they didn't have Houston then. So, but now they have somebody else. The only thing is also you were mentioning before, which you put up a good point. When you're paying 530K, that's a lot of cash. Okay, now for 530K, what can you get at 530K these days? Now you can get a keeper in another role, in another position. You can get, for example, you get the horny man. Okay, now the horny man at 530K is a keeper. You don't have to trade him out. So he's going to be your forward one. Okay, you can get another keeper. The boy from Adelaide.
Rankin, you could get there as well.
Yeah.
A few others.
So you can get a keeper for that price. If you want to go for a mid-pricer, you go for 400K. that can be a stepping stone to a keeper. But when you pay 500K for a stepping stone, it doesn't work because you're virtually sideways trading. You're gaining nothing. Okay, you're just sideways trading a player. It's virtually a stale trade. Nothing is working for you. So at 530K, either you're getting him as a keeper and you're going to keep him for the whole year, or you don't get him at all. Well, and that's how I see it.
Agreed. Shaq's asking you, at what quarter did Holmes or Day enter your team today?
Day was actually in my team when the Supercoach app opened. I actually announced on Twitter that he was my weapon when the app came out. So Day has never left my team. It was there from day one. And now I took him out as the weapon because he was owned by more than 5%, because that's the qualifications to become a weapon, and the eligibility it's 5%. So unfortunately, Day is now up to way above 5%. So Day is locked away. He was locked from day one. Okay, I did his player review and I fell in love with him, so I didn't let him go since.
Mate, you're not supposed to fall in love with your players, Scodfather. What's happening? What's going on?
But with the weapons, we can fall in love. Like last year, Real, my boy Real was the weapon, and
it was very good.
Yes. So this year's weapon is going to be, as I mentioned before, the young boy from the Dogs. So he's going to be the weapon. Now, I'm not going to be on for much longer, so I could probably answer one more question.
No worries.
All right, let's see. I'll keep scrolling through, and I'll try and find a very good question. You got one?
But
no. I'm
not
saying
a very hard one because I'm not that smart. Okay, don't make me look smart now. Okay, don't make me look like a dum. Just come down.
No,
Mm.
we're not gonna make it super crazy. Don't you worry about it. I mean, we've got someone who has asked, was it crap? I just scrolled past that. Can we afford to not start the horny man and upgrade to him later?
Okay. Now, Aiden Staff, okay, number 96. Okay, now, young man Aiden here with the horny man. Okay, now, funny he asked about the horny man and he has that number on him, but anyway, that's besides the point. Now, Aiden, with the horny man, now you got to look at his draw. You're paying for the horny man's draw. That's why you're getting him. Okay, you're not paying the horny man 500 odd K because you think he's going to become 600 later on. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Okay, maybe he'll drop in price, but you're going to pay for the horny man's early draw. If you get him in round 10, for example, or round 8, you miss all those big scores that he's going to score when he plays against Richmond or when he plays against all these lower teams. And you saw how good Richmond were today. Okay, so they're going to be easy to score against. So these scores you want in your team. You have to have these scores because after he plays Richmond, he may play. I'm not sure if he plays Richmond again after that, but I don't think he does. So that score's gone. Okay, you can't get it no more. So you want to get these scores as early as you can. So he's got Richmond there, and that's
Collingwood,
about it. So
Richmond, Essendon. First three: Collingwood, Richmond, Essendon, then St Kilda, Hawthorn, Sydney, North, Dogs, Adelaide. But yeah, by this point, everyone should have him by then.
So what he does after round 7 is insignificant. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Up until round 7, he's playing Essendon. He's playing Richmond. I mean, Richmond is a buy. Okay, he's gonna go nuts. It's virtually he's playing against kids that hog the ball and they just turn it over to you, just pass it to you. So if you don't have the horny man to start, it's going to be big problems. I can see it. Even Butters, you have to start Butters with that draw. It's the best draw in town.
It is a very good buy. It is a very good draw. And Causa, thanks. Much love, Causa. You're an absolute legend, mate. Causa's asking, where is his Brent Daniels review?
Actually, Causa has Brett Daniels' review was actually done. He must have missed it because it was one of it was in one of my videos which didn't have a title of
you did two.
Was it on?
You did two in that one.
There was a lot of videos where I did two in one videos, and he was actually in there. It was a very short description of him. So, Causa, you have to go back and find it. Just cover down.
Anyway, now, before I let you go, I want to show you something. Aiden, who asked that question, him and his brother, they sing songs All right, they sing songs for us, songs that are normal songs, but then they change it into a Supercoach lyrics. So they've sent us a song here, and they knew you were coming on. So they've this is from the the Stafford brothers.
Rightio, centre bounce boys, Joey and Big J, how are yous? Yeah, we thought we'd better come back and do a song for yous. It's been a while, so we want to do one for the start of the season. Yeah, we've missed sending some through. We sort of got a bit busy last year, but we're hoping to be able to send a few more throughout the season for you guys. And I think you've got the Scodfather on, so shout out to the Scodfather. Love your stuff, Fabs. Yep, love all your work, boys. So we'll do this one for the season opener. So here we go. Never made the top of way down. I've done the research, so this is my season. If I get ranked high somehow, I know my pods will be the reason. And Supercoach, you remind me how bad I really am. Supercoach, you remind me. Not like you didn't know that. You did your research and you swear you still do. You must have been so bad, cause playing Supercoach must have damn near killed you. And Supercoach, you remind me how bad I really am. Just gotta come down and remind me how bad I really am. That one's for you, Abs. Hope you like it. Cheers, boys. Have a good one. You.
How great is that?
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps. Okay, all my hairs on my arms, they're actually going above my nose right now. Okay, so I'm gonna sneeze in a minute because of the hairs that go into my nose. Just cover there. Oh, that was awesome. That was a great job, boys, and very impressive. I think Australia's got talent. They're waiting for someone like this. I can't believe you haven't entered yet. What are you waiting for? Something wrong? So
I know.
Australia's got talent. There's a lot of talent there, young man, or two young men there anyway. Anyway, thank you for having me on. It was an absolute pleasure. I don't normally do live shows. I get very shy. I get very embarrassed. I make a lot of boo-boos. Okay, I look like a dum-dum sometimes, but I'm on live today. So thank you for having me, and hopefully one day, I'm going to try to go on live if I can work out how to do it. I couldn't even work out how to get on this channel before, so I'll work it out, and it'll work out soon. So I'll see you guys again shortly, hopefully again. Okay, so take care.
Thank you very much for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you around sometime. Hey.
Thanks, Scodfather. You're a legend, mate. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
There you go, lads. That was a Scodfather in the flesh. First live stream I think this guy has ever done. He just does not do live streams. So we're very fortunate to have him. Good job, Big J, getting him on. Well, very, very well done.
No worries. And thank you very much to everybody who subbed and liked and done everything over the past, hour or so. We got up to 213 people watching, which is a huge bloody record.
Unreal.
Yeah, very, very happy there. Let's plow through a few more of the questions. It is getting pretty late, but thank you very much for everyone who has been watching. Guys, down below, we've got our league code as well. Let me quickly just check how many people are actually in the league. 238. So if you haven't already, there's 3 prizes you guys can win. Jersey, if you're number 1 in the league, highest ranking, highest score for that week, you get 2 tickets to an AFL game. And then, random prize draw will be an AFL voucher as well. So jump on there if you haven't already.
Excellent. All right. Johnny Blaze asked, what about Archie Roberts? Archie Roberts, look, I love the kid, but he hasn't really torn it apart this preseason. Seems to be really quiet, and he is fighting for a spot in the side with Southern Holder. So both of them are fighting for that defensive winger running to half back, and he really turned the ball over uncharacteristically a few times in the match sim. So he hasn't torn it up. Saad hasn't torn it up. It's really interesting. It's an awkward place, I think, at this point. Maybe the nerves of fighting for their spot in the side is causing them to be overly jittery. But for me, I wouldn't be selecting him at that price point. You've only seen him play 4 games, which is a little unfortunate that he did so well in the last 2, which caused his price to go up so much. But for me, I wouldn't be going there personally. There's certainly safer options at that price point.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just kind of 1 week he'll play, the next week he might not play, and it's a bit of a rough one.
Sure. Jaden's asking Mitch Nevitt or Harvey Langford.
Well, we've seen Nevitt play a lot. I haven't seen any Langford play versus other teams at the moment. So, yeah, why not both is definitely the question. If you had to pick one, though, currently Nevitt. But yeah, definitely. Why not both?
I want this one.
They go back. Bro, check that second one. They actually went back and found her as an older
when
person.
She's older? No.
Yeah. There you go.
She needs to do it with her older, but to be fair, this is definitely the funnier one. So, yes, I'm going to keep this one on. Why not both? Both is good.
Yeah.
Marriage.
Velo. Sorry, definitely Velo. He's too expensive.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Marriage, I can't wait to see, but didn't play due to illness. 100%. Looking forward to seeing him as well. Seeing if he can take any kick-ins would obviously be unbelievable if that was the case. Coaches panel, MJ is asking if there's someone under 5% ownership that we're bullish on.
Let me see. Let me just try and find out who's actually 5%.
Who do I own in my team that's under 5%? Or is my team as cookie cutter as they come? Like, seriously. My team is ridiculous.
Well, even Connor Rosie and Errol Goulden now are actually 6. So it kind of doesn't fit.
I'll say Bailey Dale.
Yeah, Bailey Dale's one.
He's at 3% Bailey Dale for me.
I think Xavier Lindsay, definitely, rookie-wise, there's a couple there. Heck, even Jordan Clark at the moment is only 5%. Anyone who's super pod that I have that no one else has. Jordan Dawson definitely could do something again. Yeah. So one to watch out for over the next little bit. I think the most pod, though, has to be Brodie Grundy. I mean, I missed you in the chat, brought it up as a potential R2, and he might just be the one that slips under the radar. I could totally see by round 3 or round 4, everyone's offloading Gawn or Cherry and getting Brodie Grundy in.
Yep. Watching Clarion Rivers combine the midfield for goals is so beautiful to watch. I'm sure it is, and we look forward to seeing it too. Sportsnut, Big
Hugo Garcia 1%. Hugo Garcia 1% owned. 245k forward. Yeah.
Nah, Kane Farrell interrupted preseason. Too many question marks up in the air. Not for me at this point. Sportsnut.
No, definitely, and we'll harp on it again, Sportsnut. But we've spoken about at length about how even with Houston down in the last few games of last year, Kane Farrell didn't come in and take majority kick-ins. He shared it quite a lot with a few other people. So I don't think he's just going to slot straight in and become the next Houston.
Yes. Trying to keep scrolling down. All right, what's the next question that we haven't seen? Draper. Yes, we love Sammy Draper. Apparently, Sammy Draper's gone to Epworth for some scans, some black market news.
Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll see what happens with that.
If he is out, if Sammy Draper is out for any length of time, it becomes, of course, Nick Bryan's season, ladies and gentlemen. Keep a close eye on that. If you watch Pig and Jaden, they mention how the dogs lost points due to returning to the mean. It helps the stats. Okay, yeah. Very impressive. Did Matt Flynn play today? He did, but not very well.
Yeah, and then he's finished half the game and he's got back soreness. So, a few people trying to go cheaper rucks might not be the right situation.
Agreed. Carlton have put a 7-year deal in front of TDK. Surely they play him a solo ruck. You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to.
Well, there's a difference between solo ruck and trying to win games. And,
they have good record
around, so we'll see what happens.
They were 9-1, though, with TDK rucking by himself. So they're winning games, with him solo rucking. So I don't necessarily think they're mutually exclusive. Lads, what are our thoughts on $1 Million Man TDK? Oh, I think he's worth it. They looked so dynamic when he was solo rucking. Just add speed on the game, and with speed, kicking the ball to a forward line with Kerno and Mackay, they'll just draw free kicks, if not mark the ball. So I think it's worth it for their team. Very torn on my D2, says John, with Sicily, Holmes, Sinclair, etc. Also thoughts on Logan Evans at D3. Could also potentially go to an SDK dependent on role or other players at that price point.
Yeah, I really like Lawson Humphreys at that price. Someone else down here is talking about Velo, mentioned Humphreys as well. I think at that kind of just around 400k mark, Peatling, Humphreys, Logan Evans are really, they're going to be fantastic players choice-wise. You just need to see them. And the lucky thing about a Humphreys, as opposed to the other ones, is that we get round 0. So if Humphreys comes out round 0, drops a 100, plays the role that I think he's going to play, he could force himself straight into my team. So one to watch out for. But there's a few juices around that price. The problem with Supercoach defenders this year is that there's no... I'm going to go out on a limb, and there's no sure lock type players at between like 580 and 500k like we've had in previous years. Everyone's got a question mark a little bit. There's a couple of lock-ish type players, like maybe a Sicily and Dale, but they don't jump out at me as saying, hey, we're ready to become the Uber Primos again. Yeah, it's a rough one, I think, this year.
Fair enough. I just love this. Rookie coach, g'day, rookie. We need mods. We've never had a point in time where we've had to, where we've needed mods. This is unreal. Unreal. Stop spamming chat. Yes, I agree. Well done, Bello. The Scott's the greatest Supercoach player of all time. Just needs to win it and becomes the GOAT. Fair enough.
There you go.
And then Legend Henry says Shaq.
Guys, if you have anyone else that you'd love for me to try and get on the show, let me know.
Yes.
And I'll send out some feelers and see what we can do.
For sure. Dunkley is owned by just 9. Yeah, Dunks is one that I think I can't see myself finishing my side without Cheese. I agree. What's their run like to start with?
Brisbane's not bad. It's just the fact that they've got the early bye, which is really
Geelong,
like
West Coast.
it's really kind of pushing people off.
Richmond.
But outside of that early bye, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good. You're right. It is pretty damn good.
Like they're playing. What are they playing? Geelong doesn't count, so points wise. But
yeah,
in the first 4 games, they've got a day off, which hurts, and then they play the 2 bottom teams. So
on either side.
Yeah,
correct. Supercoach Locke, good evening. Good evening to you.
What's up,
thoughts on James Sicily? Any thoughts on James Sicily?
I don't. After today, I don't mind the pick. I just want to see a bit more from him in the next practice game, really. It's a hard one to judge. It felt like he didn't get enough kickouts. It'd be interesting to see kind of his scoring today. Sarong took quite a few. I assume it's Sarong. Sarong took quite a few and then got injured halfway through. And Sicily was used as that number 2, like the kick out went to him. But then there were a few times as well in there where he wasn't the dedicated number 2. So it's kind of one to watch there, I think. But if you want to put him in your team, no worries. Just early buy.
Yeah. I had him in my team before the game today. And seeing the game today, got no reservations. He was playing in defense just like I hoped he would be. And yeah, of course, there was a period of time where he did go forward for a little bit, but that we know. We know that he was going to, and it's preseason. They'll mess around a little bit, but James Sicily's role was exactly what you were hoping it was going to be. So for me, it just reassured me even further about the selection. Day versus Newcomb. Oh, Trav, yes.
Trav, thanks for the donation, Trav. Zorko at 3% would be one. Yeah. If Zorko was like 50k cheaper, 100%. But he's so expensive.
So expensive. Coming off a premiership with a later preseason. Yeah. It's a no for me personally. Joel asks Day versus Newcomb. For me, Day's cheaper.
Yeah. I personally think I don't know if Newcomb is going to jump too much in terms of what his output is going to be. So for me, Will Day has the potential and has in the past to become a 600k plus player. I think it was last year or the year before, Joe. It was like 600k and then fell off a little bit after some injuries and whatnot. Yeah, I think just Will Day, as Joe says, being a bit cheaper, is kind of the one. You can pick both if you want, but
You could,
Will Day,
but that-
start the risk. Don't try and bring it in. You're going to punish
Right.
yourself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Will Day's cheap.
Jonas, g'day Jonas. Richmond, oh, we're from Wingerland, like the winter
Well,
of old. We're drunk and paroled because we're from Win. I had to sing that one. Nice one, Jonas. The goose that laid the golden spud just coming down. I like that one. That's pretty funny as well. Yeah, I agree about Durham, 100%. There's no way you're going to put Set of Nuts over Sardis. Come on, Jonas. That's very funny. You can't be doing that. Chris Scott has never been forthcoming with us. No, he never has been. He has been terrible for us. Logan, thoughts on Dawson, lads? He could rival Richards as the weapon.
It could really happen. Looked okay in the intra-club match, but I think I want to see him versus another team to really figure out, hey, what's happening. I know with North Melbourne, it was kind of the forwards versus the senior forwards versus the senior defenders. Otherwise, it was a bit of a blowout. So it'd be interesting to see where he really lines up when the full team selection's there versus, versus that.
Yeah, look, I think Dawson could do it, but I'm concerned about round one running into a Marcus Windhager tag. Like, that would suck right off the bat. Like, we know Ross the Boss loves to tag, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with their depleted midfield as it is, with their injuries there. I wouldn't be surprised if he cops the round one tag, and that would really hurt. He might have an easier time of it against Essendon, but we can get him for cheaper, potentially. And Nix is almost as bad. Nix is almost as bad as Bevo and what's his face? And Scott. So, yeah, don't trust them at all. Yes, you are late, Woody. 8:43 p.m. You know we start at 7, mate. What's going on? I'm just, I love you, Woody. I love you. Thought on O'Sullivan. Yeah, O'Sullivan was good.
Yeah. It's funny because I'd heard from Rodney, who's obviously a bit of a Geelong person. If you're still in the chat, let me know, Rodney. Talking a lot about O'Sul and kind of training reports and whatnot, that he didn't really do as much as he needed to do last year, but was ready to go for this year. They'd been playing him quite a lot, and it does seem like that from the training report today. So watch him in round 0, watch him in the next one, but definitely pencil him in as a 140k backman that a lot of us are really struggling to find potentially 1 or 2 in the backline that we're happy with fielding. He could be one of those guys for us.
Yeah, for sure. STK also plays for Chris Scott. That's enough to minute. Yeah, 100%. He's a terrorist for our Supercoach sides. James Leake or Zach Reed. To that, Jaden, I say, ¿por qué no los dos? One or two.
Yeah, I currently have Leake at the moment. I just Reed's obviously had his injury worries, but I only have space for 3 rookies in the back line. So maybe Jepson comes out and then Reed takes that spot. So we'll see.
Fair enough. I think I already read that question before. Secrets of Lucky Shopside business is pushing you to. Interesting. I'll keep an eye out for that. Spud versus Spud equals mashed potatoes. Fair enough. Hey, Tame, thoughts on Zach Merritt, or is he too old? Is Zach Merritt too old?
No, Zach Merritt's not too old. I like Zach Merritt. I think he's one of the 600k guys that just isn't being talked about at all. It's just the early buy which has killed him. And the problem with Zach Merritt is that he's 620k and you're going to get 620k worth of scoring out of him. So there's not a huge upside. You would rather wait for him to have a bad game or have a poor game. He could get tagged round 1 and then, hey, we're ready to go. We can plan to get him a bit cheaper. I think he's good for a 115 and that's what you're going to get out of him. So it's not as exciting as, Brayshaw's underpriced, or if you don't have Bont, it's going to hurt, or an Oliver or a Day and things like that. Just plan to have Zach Merritt in your team. Historically, he's always been available at a good price between round 6 and 9, and then you dodge the first buy and you get Zach Merritt for cheap. So that's probably why a few people haven't picked him up.
For sure. Imagine if we get day 4 DPP, a man can dream. Yeah, man, that's a dream that's never gonna come true, unfortunately. But hey, it's not too bad.
We almost got Petrarca forward.
Yeah,
Could
fair
happen.
enough. True. Woody, what do you think of Sarong getting the same score as Brayshaw, but not major? He could be pushing top 8 again, midfielder for sure. So
Yeah.
plus he's got a great early fixture. I've considered thinking of starting both Sarong and Brayshaw in my starting side, just so I can capitalize because I'm pretty sure they've got a pretty easy Geelong, Sydney, West Coast Dogs, Richmond, Melbourne. It's quite a few greens. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 out of the first 6 are green matchups. And they obviously have the best buy as well. So I have considered running both, to be honest. Would be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you're not keen on the Butters at 600k or 640, you can downgrade.
Or plus him. Plus him. Yeah. I'm saying like in addition.
So they run those 4. Interesting.
Potentially as the 4 mids, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger HQ, g'day lads, don't miss out on the ticket this year. Jacob Hopper, remember I said this, I'm flying the top 100.
All right.
Tiger HQ, I have read.
Good luck to you, sir.
Good luck to you, sir, on your mission. Carry on. I will remember you. Oh, hopefully I will try to remember you between now and end of the season. How many premiums? Ask Mark Lavelle. You know I love you, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
How many premiums do we start with, and how many should you have at the pointy end, guys? What's the think?
Well, I assume the pointy end means the end of the season, right? When your team's done, Joe?
I think so.
Yeah. So with the flex, like last year, the people that had 23, 24 premiums definitely did a lot better because a lot of us got stuck with a Houston and a Sheasel and a couple of others in the back line that got smashed with injuries. So either you have the premiums or you have the rookies on field that are good scorers. That's what I was quite lucky to have. I think if you can have between 13 and 14 primos on field, you're doing very well this year. Or it might end up being something like a 12 with, an interesting forward line, which could be the other way to go, I think. Anything less, you're spending too many trades trying to upgrade your team and you might just get left behind a little bit. So if you can predict, let's say, a few of these defenders at 400k turning into primos, you're happy. Similar to a Parker, McRae, Bailey Smith, whatever in the forward line. Don't have it as primos as much, Mark, as guys that you're not expecting to trade throughout the season. Because there's a lot of cheaper guys. Now, Peatling versus Bailey Smith, you're probably not hoping to trade throughout the season. But a Peatling, will be a stepping stone. So he's not a keeper, but McRae or Bailey Smith, heck, even Caleb Daniel definitely as well. But a Luke Parker around that 350 in the forward line, they would be what you would consider to be keepers instead.
Correct. How many North players can you have in the team? Asks Clayton.
Oh, mate, I made a team. This was when I still had McKercher in the team, but I think I had 6 or 7 because you have Cherry, then you got Sheasel, so that's 2 locked in. Then you got Caleb Daniel, so that's 3. Then I had Finn O'Sullivan, so that made 4. And then I had McKercher, and then I had Parker. So I had 6, in my starting team. So I think you can get away with 4 or 5. It's just how many are going to be keepers by the end of the season. Not having the early buy and having them as cash cows works, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Legends just asking on Toby Nank. Would like to hear. Oh, sorry about that. Missed that one. Nank Curvis. The thing with Nank is that he's not a spring chicken anymore. Is coming off a career best year. How many players who are in their 30s go back to back or do better? Plus, the Richmond team's not going to get too many clearances. Who's he tapping the ball down to? You know what I mean? I'm not how many headouts to advantage he's going to be getting. So for me, probably not for me.
Yeah, for me, no as well. He's a good price, but definitely, as Joe says, it's a tricky kind of question mark there.
Did it show, Woody? Did it show?
It was good.
It was so much fun. It was so good having Scott on. It was a ball. It was a blast. We even have Geordie in here. G'day, George. How's it going, mate?
What's up?
Much love. If you haven't subbed to the Supercoach Masters, check them out. Big J was on there the other day as well, talking about the defenders, the defender primos. So good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming on. Let's see. Get the. I got my torch out, Woody. Was that all right? I got my phone torch out. I hope that was good enough for you. Love the Scodfather, absolutely. Oh, happy birthday! Happy birthday to Quivian.
Happy birthday.
Something like. Thank you very much. Have we got through all? Oh, there we go. Woody's Sardis clicking didn't look great. Is everyone going him still? I mean, yeah. I mean, it was very windy conditions over there at the open wind tunnel that is Whitton Oval. Cross breeze, especially in the third quarter, it picked up even more, and it was just going the Bulldogs' way. That was a 5 or 6 goal breeze, that one. So, look, is his kicking ever going to be immaculate and the best? Look, it probably will never be the best. He just needed to be good enough that he can hit some targets, kick the ball inside 50, get some score assists, as long as they're not turnovers, as long as they're going to a 50-50 contest that travels the distance. It doesn't matter if he's not necessarily hitting his targets, as long as they are not clangers. That's the most important thing. And his kicking was certainly better than last year's kicking. And the most important thing is that he had the role. He's got the role, and he will have the role moving forward. So I think you can lock him in still. Big Joe, what's your thoughts on Parker? What will his mid-forward split be?
I really like Parker. I think it's going to be like 60 mid, 40 forward. That might change a tiny bit with Wardlaw back. And Wardlaw is supposed to be coming back hopefully after the first month. So probably March, April, sometime in April, maybe around 4 or 5. But he can kick goals. He can clearance. He hasn't missed a beat. Like, the team fits with him really well. So I expect him to get a lot of ball.
Guys, we're going to be wrapping it up soon. We'll be wrapping it up soon. It's been a very long one, been a very exciting one, as we all know. Rookie coach, Butters, Bont, Sarong. Field 1, bench 1, boot 1. Go.
Ooh. Field Bond. Boot Butters, keeps Sarong.
Fielding Bont, benching Butters, and kicking Sarong.
Okay, so
I think there's no replacement for the Bont. I think Bont is Bont. There is no one potential that comes close to everything that he can do on the footy field. Butters is that rare mix of kamikaze, destructive brute force plus elegance at the same time, whilst being able to hit the scoreboard. Whereas in Sarong, I feel like one of those shorter inside mids. You can find replacements for Sarong. I don't think he's a one of a kind. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. Great player. Excellent for his team. But I think there are other players that I could fill in for Sarong. Personally. Not trying to go with any disrespect, but that's a tough question, and we have to give tough answers. I put Draper in my draft team because of you, Joe. Oh, Maltese!
Hopefully it was with the last pick and not like the first pick. Otherwise, we'd be in a bit of trouble.
I pray it works, Maltese. I pray. Oh, jeez. Keep going. Houston or Stewart? Probably make more money off of Stewart. You're not picking them for the money, though, Jaden, are you?
No. You're picking them for the keeper status, and Stewart just being a bit cheaper, and you know what you're going to get from them. He would be the one, I think, out of the two. Houston, I think, will drop a little bit in price, and it's tough when you don't know what the role exactly is going to be. There's too many question marks at the moment for me to spend $575K on Dan Houston.
Yep.
Like, I'm going 20K more and picking Whitfield.
But if you're picking one or the other, I'd personally go with Houston. I think Houston's in his prime. And if Scodfather's black market news is correct and that everything is going through him, then that's really good. We'll love to hear that. Hugo, Garcia, and Marek should be in everyone's forward line. Love it, Woody. We can't wait to see him play. Dawson equals Knicks. Huge worry. Agreed. My team is pure guns and rookies with only a couple of mid prizes. Is this good or bad? We spoke about this a little bit before, Jaden. You don't have to have a team full of mid prices. You just want to pick the correct ones. Pick the good mid prices and leave the speculative ones behind. Guns and rookies has never let you down. Has never been a wrong strategy. So if you got more rookies than mid prices, I don't think it's necessarily an issue. As long as they're in the right lines. Like if you're loading up on midfielders, the rookies and the midfielders, then that's not a problem. But if you're loading up on defensive rookies, then that is a problem for me. Cause is asking if you're going to the North game on Saturday, Big J.
It is my birthday weekend, so I'm hoping so. We'll see. Just depends if I've got stuff on, but yeah, definitely.
Oh, yes. Yaron, it was a huge show tonight. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. You're an absolute legend.
Thank you very much, Yaron.
Your arms and arms are much better, mate. Thank you, Velo. Thank you very much. We're working hard. We're working hard on it. We're working hard. It's always good to get positive reinforcements. Means that I'm doing all right. I think that might be all of the questions, I think, at this point. So, guys, unreal. One of the biggest, if not the biggest live stream that we've ever done. Massive
213 people
concurrently at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for joining us, asking your questions, for all of your incredible generosity as well. For all the new members, Supercoach God, Initiator, Yaron, CWT, thank you so much for joining, guys. Travis, Causa, Yaron, Cheese, and J-Bags, again, for the super chats. Thanks, guys, so much. Really hope you enjoyed the stream and that you got a lot out of having the Scodfather on, and that you hopefully like the stream, get it out to more people so that more and more people can get the benefit of the Scodfather in a live setting. Subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell to not miss out on any of the videos and streams that we put out.
Well, birthday next week on Tuesday. So you guys in chat, save that for next week. Thank you to the Stafford brothers as well for posting up the song. We love it. If you guys are still here, it gives us something a little bit different, and we just love that there. So, guys, as Joe says, stay tuned for the next one. If you guys are going to buy the Sword Play season guide, Centre Bounce 10, capital letters, 10% off, and then we'll give back to the community any money that we make from that. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, geez. I was feeling under the weather before. Now I'm just feel like a flame. I'm just on fire at the moment. This was unreal. You guys saw me have a good hell of a little good fun, and I hope you guys had some fun. More to come. We got more Stafford Brothers songs to come, ladies and gentlemen. So keep tuned, because here, guys, at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work, and we host the great guests, and we play the Stafford Brothers songs so you don't have to. Bye for now.
See you guys.